Heyo. Welcome, everybody. We're in a match. People are taking points already. It's the exact opposite of yesterday. Thank you guys for hopping on. You're not waiting around at all. Purdue's on their game today. Tell us who we've got in the field already.
Right now,
Man, we missed the most crucial part of that.
so UWM red and RHIT on blue. Currently, we see RHIT
What?
taking the lead almost immediately, taking the
That's
middle.
RHIT in the blue?
Mhm.
Oh my goodness. That's some progress. That's a great looking bot. RHIT
Yep.
has made a lot of progress every year. Last year they were part of the big CU upset. They had functional bots, but this year that's looking clean, especially for April.
Mhm.
They're going with the
I think this is
deflectors. Man, I don't know if y'all talked about that yesterday. The deflectors have been probably bopped around as an idea beach ball through every team. So RHIT continues to maintain occupancy of that central control point, giving them 1 victory point per second, 200 needed for victory. If you're just tuning in to 2025 RoboMasters content, you can see one bot for each team right now. I don't know if our Purdue in person are able to see a second one.
right now we're currently running 1v1 because some robots still have some functionality issues. Are we still having RFID issues, production? Are we still having RFID issues? So there's probably still RFID issues in the bases. So probably cause problems with the two bots. But the middle has been improved by adding more RFID chips to it. So hopefully this time around we won't be having to worry about any kind of inconsistencies when they're trying to take the middle. And additionally, we can see right now our hit's putting a lot of pressure on red. There's a lot of blue pressure currently on the middle. Because every single time red tries to go in, they just immediately start getting fired at. And you can just watch the health bar melt away. They're really not looking good for them.
Yeah. Oh, so you're saying, because from my perspective, I can't see the projectiles, but every time Red 4 keeps peeking out, it's being shot.
Yep. And
from now they're engaged in combat here in the middle, both taking, it looks like RHIT still taking the upper hand of the trade. Man, some guts of steel in the pilot of the RHIT driver. He's not moved an inch. He has the peek around the corner, and anytime the enemy robot peeks around, he just unleashes a volley, sends him running right back to base. This is a strat, though, right? So dealing damage does give you experience points. So if you're the red team, you can just peek in and out of base. Being in the base will heal you. You'll get your health back. You can just poke out, get a little bit of chip damage in, get yourself some XP, get more projectiles. And eventually, right? Eventually, RHIT should run out of projectiles and have to retreat. So your red team should have an opportunity coming up. But I assume that's match, as now there's a human on the field.
Match was just called for blue, so RHIT won almost completely decisively. We're talking 200 points to 24. So we're seeing a very aggressive approach take the precedence over any other kind of strategy, at least in all the matches that we've seen so far.
Yeah, great job from both teams. I'm glad we got to look at kind of that strat, even though it's 1v1, right? And that won't work completely in a 2v2 or 3v3 format. I do think that that style of play, poking in and out of the base to get XP, might be prevalent in the matches to come. I'm expecting a lot of reverse sweeps. I'm expecting whoever gets the central buff point first might be the team that loses. I don't know about you, but I play very, very low elo Overwatch with all of the normies that are terrible at video games. And in low elo Overwatch, that's pretty much what happens. One team takes the central buff point first. We hold it for a little bit. We get, I don't know, half of the points you need to win. But then eventually you get aced. You get pushed out of that central buff point. And at that point, the other team is in so much of a better position that your bad players kind of trickle back in one at a time, get killed, and you just kind of get farmed for the duration of the match. And I think that is an option that we might see for these teams coming up.
I think what we've seen so far in general, and even from yesterday's matches, is that whoever takes the first buff point actually usually wins. Because they just apply so much pressure and they're able to just outlevel their opponents so much faster. So it's
do they get
really
experience points for getting victory points?
It does seem like that.
Let me check. That's an interesting question, chat. I will dig into it here in a second. I have the rules pulled up on a different page. Um, yes, I think especially in 1v1 and 2v2 format, I agree with you. There's definitely some strength that comes from getting there first and getting the early lead. And I mean, as RHIT showed us here, if you don't have to move, right? If you have a defensible position, the enemy has to come to you in this game mode. Um, you're not going to be able to, like, for example, sit back in your base and do full court shots of the base, like we've seen in years past with the hero.
Actually, one thing that's kind of interesting is that whenever they used the sentries and they did work, CU in particular just had their sentry rush to the middle when it could, and they would use infantry to try to back it up. Or alternatively, they would try to use a sentry as backup, put it almost inside the base so it just barely is able to peek to the middle, and then have the sentry try to rush to the middle as well. And we're seeing like those kind of strategies also work really well if the teams are able to fully implement that.
Yeah, no, that's not a surprise to me at all. I that makes a lot of sense, and I think that will carry over in all formats of this style of competition, because the combat pretty much needs to occur near the center of the map. Teams whose sentries are able to navigate the map successfully are going to have a number advantage, right? They're going to have a man advantage, and especially early before the other robots catch up in levels, the sentry starts as a much more capable robot than the standard and the hero robots. I have checked with the rules. They don't actually gain XP for getting victory points. But as you're saying, I mean, like, because you're in that defensible position, they do get experience points for launching projectiles and dealing damage and killing robots. So it might be that just holding that middle buff point is giving them the leverage they need, right, to do a little bit more damage, to hit their enemies more frequently and consistently. And that might be what's giving that EXP lead between the team that gets there first and the team that tries to push them out.
Yeah, I think this kind of just reflects how much better it is to be way more aggressive in these kinds of fights. And like the pilots really do have to be way more bold with their strategies than maybe in like previous kinds of matches.
100%. Well, congratulations, RHIT. We can't sleep on this, guys. RHIT, you're I don't know, like 3 years ago, they built a sentry on one of, I think it was with Purdue. I think it was R-Hit, Purdue, and UT. Is that the combo team, the dream combo team from like 2022 or something? 2021? May have not been Purdue. 2022. So from those humble beginnings, right? The sentry that RHIT built didn't fire, but from the very beginning, they had great vibes. They really integrated themselves in the community, and then they kind of worked their way up to last year, where they had functional bots that struggled to get over the ledge, the little bump in front of the base. They had some struggles there early, but they were able to be a part of that crazy situation that kicked CU out of groups. And now RHIT fielding a bot in April that looks really impressive. Uh, it's great. Any thoughts about the projectile deflectors?
To be completely honest, I think that they are fairly useful. I think that it does prevent any kind of like side hitting.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and that probably opens up way more offensive strategies because now you don't have to worry about getting hit when you're trying to run away from the side. Because that does seem to be sometimes an issue.
It's
And
interesting.
additionally, it does look way more new in a sense because I think there were only two robots I saw in all the matches that were using these kinds of deflectors. So if
Yeah.
they do prove to be useful, I think we might see like further implementation of that and more robots.
It is sick and innovative. It was discussed, at least I know, for A&M. I assume that most teams have talked about it at some point. Um, Especially teams like CU, right? Teams that start to really hyper focus on how fast can we spin. I think at one point
Mhm.
everyone says, if we spin fast enough with flaps that are long enough, can we become invincible? Like, it's a thought process that pops up as an engineer, I think, when you're looking at RoboMasters. Um, the A&M discussion, yes, you prevent the side hits. There was some concerns that you might actually funnel shots that would miss, uh, because you have angles now where if it hits here, it might deflect and hit your armor panel. There are certain angles where that's definitely true, but how much momentum does that projectile still have? Quick reminder for the friends at home, each of those armor panels is a force sensing panel. So it detects how much force it's hit with. And that force is it's a function of both the mass of the projectile, which helps the robots differentiate between 42 millimeter and 17 millimeter projectiles, but also the speed of the projectile. So if it deflects, if the projectile bounces enough times, you can see a projectile hit an armor panel and only do one damage. It'll treat it as a non-projectile hit. And so there may be an argument to be made that the deflected projectiles may be slow enough that that no longer counts, or maybe the hero shots would count as a projectile, as a 17. Honroy in chat saying that they don't feel like they're spinning quite fast enough for the fly swatters to do anything, which I think goes back to your point, that even if Honroy is correct, right, and I'm correct, that there is still a upside where even if you're not spinning at all, right, just the fact that from some angles now you will have an obstructed view of the armor panel. Um, the rules do stipulate how much, like, what angle you can have things next to the armor panel so that you can't just completely obstruct the view. But RHIT now playing within those rules and obstructing it as much as possible. Really interesting. I'm glad we got to see it play out here a little bit. And I mean, they took down the dubs, so you can't argue with the scorecard.
Yeah, definitely.
Chat, let us know what you think. I might, you know what? There's 9 of y'all in the Twitch right now. I'm gonna throw a poll in here. I'm gonna leave it open for a while. What are we calling those? Fly swatters?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, there's a limit on the. Okay. All right.
All right, and it seems like the next game is going to be.
Oh man, I lost you right when you were gonna tell us who the next game was gonna be. Like, I feel like maybe you did this to me as a late April Fool's. Because all I got was the next game is going to be, and then
We're going
nothing.
to. Yeah, we're gonna be holding some suspense. Right now, the current idea is we're gonna have CU versus Madison in the next
Oh,
round.
all right.
Currently, CU is making some fixes to their robots, and hopefully, once that goes through soon, we'll be able to see another match between those two.
Gotcha. Well, Chad, I do have the poll up. You can let us know in Twitch chat if you think the fly swatters are cracked or trash. Do you think this is a new style that we'll start to see, as predicted by our Purdue commentators? Is this something that will kind of catch fire after getting showcased in a 1v1? Or is this something that looks kind of cool and looks kind of sweet, but frankly isn't really functional? See you. Oh, other thing, let me make a public service announcement. Guys, if you're watching stream right now and you're on a team, which I think is probably most of you, and you're saying to yourself, man, I wish that I could see the projectiles being launched by these robots, please add those little UV projectile UV exciters, the little UV lights that you put right before it launches projectiles. It makes it a lot easier for everyone to see the projectiles, including your pilots. This is a hot take. Your pilot needs to be able to see where they're missing. That way they can get more accurate. Your team's accuracy will go up if you glow your projectiles, for your standards and your sentries, obviously. So do that. It's better for everyone, especially you. All right, I'm gonna vote in my own chat. I think the fly swatter projectiles are kind of cracked. I I'm a little bit convinced that they'd probably help more than they hurt, and if nothing else, they look sweet. So
I think in the end, time will tell. If we see more teams implement it and we see it become more and more successful, we'll probably see like them use it for more and more things. I think it's
I'm
also
gonna
sufficient for its
get
use.
your take on some of the other teams while we're waiting. One of the teams that I really have been itching to discuss this season is Virginia Tech. So
Mm.
Virginia Tech in RMNA has kind of become known for their powerful hero, um, and especially their base race hero and some long range hero shots. Their hero has been the star of their team, but always centered around destruction of the base and large structure damage. In a year where heroes are no longer doing any structure damage, where full court shots are pretty much irrelevant, um, do you feel like VT's been able to adjust? Do you think they're going to pull something crazy out? Like I'm hoping while I give you time to think about your answer, I'm hoping that Virginia Tech pulls out some crazy crap where like their hero still starts in their base and does half court shots and just kind of mortar shells, just randomly launches projectiles into the middle to see if they can scare out one of the other teammates, one of the enemy robots, get them to back off, and then allow their smaller two infantry robots to take the middle. Any
I think we
thoughts?
saw I think we saw a game versus was it I believe CU versus VTech. And you saw that CU was able to basically completely dominate in
Yeah,
almost both rounds. I think VTech had very solid infantry, but the sentry seemed to be having issues throughout the matches. And the second time when they tried to use the hero almost immediately got melted, and they had to immediately retreat that.
yeah.
Um, it seems like there are still some improvements to make. There are definitely some changes that they may need to do before RMNA. However, I think that given the new data they have from this competition and given from what I've seen since the scrim in November, I think that they're going to be able to make some decent improvements, and in RMNA they'll be able to um, perform way better than they do like now.
Yeah, it's definitely important to keep in mind that it's April, right?
Which is awesome.
Frankly, it's so impressive that so many teams, props to all of y'all, are able to compete in the competition at all right now with even 2 bots or 1 bot. I'm getting word that it's gonna be CU versus CU, which is exactly to my point. Thank you, production.
Mm.
100% to my point here that really the biggest value to these teams, in something like this Midwest competition is getting to stress test their robots, practice their pilots on a real field against, full size field against one another. These are the first North American teams to get to try the victory point win condition. And so, even your pilots and your teams that have years of experience, this is a huge change from last year. So, really excited to see CU versus CU. I think it's going to be a close one, and I'm not going to make a poll because the winner will be CU.
Personally, I think that CU will actually beat CU.
Ah,
But I think we'll see. We'll see after the first round. We can start making a stronger predictions from then on.
That's a pretty bad take. Oh, snap. Red CU versus blue CU. Guys, who do you think's gonna win? Blue side buff. Blue side buff used to be a thing. Um, we'll see. It'll be really, really interesting. Hilariously, there will actually be once we know which robots are going to be on which side of CU. Like, is it Sentry Standard? Is it 1v1? Is it going to be Sentry versus Standard? Is it going to be Hero versus Standard? Oh, so many questions. So you might legitimately be able to predict which side of CU is going to win, right? If the blue side CU is a standard and red side CU is a hero, um, we might be able to take a guess at who will be the victor.
I think right now we're looking at the red. What is it? It's a, it's a red century, and then we have a blue standard. So
Okay, all right. It's man versus machine, human versus
mhm.
AI. The story of the
Like,
25th year of the 21st century. Blue CU versus red CU. Who do you think's going to take it down, chat? Red CU, the AI, oh my gosh, or blue CU, the piloted human standard. I gotta give it to blue CU. Let me
yeah, I was gonna say. I think blue CU. I think it's just a good opportunity for them to test how dynamic the code for their sentry is. It's a good way to maybe stress test trying to find any kinks in its armor.
chat. I am pulling out my phone to make my prediction. A reminder that you can hop in Twitch chat. And you can make your prediction for free. You can bet your channel points. So channel points now called cubes with freaking awesome custom RoboMasters. There we go. Robomaster's icons there, reminiscent of the full RMUC competition. Hop in here, bet your channel points, see how many channel points you can end the season with. As it looks like they've started. The sentry for CU being really
Yep.
sneaky, hugging the wall, making its way towards the center.
We see it almost clearly just started to dominate the field. Blue almost does immediately just back away because it just can't take all the fire.
Oh my gosh, Blue
And,
sneaks up, tries to peek the corner. The sentry holds its ground, locks on, doing a great job trading back and forth, human versus machine, and it's the human that yields. The
and
pilot.
actually, what's really interesting is the Sentry almost completely dominated that trade. The Sentry health is almost full, whereas Blue House is almost completely out.
Okay, but you've got to remember here, it may have dominated the trade, but the health bars are not equal. The standard
Mhm.
for CU has a much smaller starting health than the sentry. The sentry is basically a raid boss at the
400.
beginning. So,
Yeah.
in my opinion, I think as long as the standard doesn't die, the sentry isn't gaining XP, but the standard is. So he needs to just keep doing this until he levels up enough that he really can compete with the sentry. And we see him doing it again. The standard for CU pushing up, having another exchange. Now the third trade, coming back for a fourth, trading back and forth with the sentry. It will also be a good test of the sentry's AI, right? So if the sentry is able to retreat based on projectile need or health, all robots are now able to heal in the resupply zone and be resupplied with projectiles. Oh my goodness, a vicious trade back and forth. I'm sure Purdue is just hammering right now with arena sound. And there it is. The sentry retreats. The humans are pushing forward. The sentry is trying to retreat. He gets stuck on a wall. This could be the end.
I think now we're looking at the Sentry trying to move back, so they're gonna go try to resupply it. They miss the
Wow.
resupply. The Sentry starts to run down. Now we
Excellent job from Red CU. That sentry making it all the way back to the resupply zone. I don't know if he's in enough. He's spinning right on the edge. Hopefully his RFID panel is in and he'll heal.
they missed the resupply, but they are able to retake point. And now we're seeing Blue try to go back, heal up, and then they're gonna try to push again. And we'll see maybe if the Sentry gets low enough to retreat back. I think this is actually one of the things that partially a weakness of the Sentry, considering that it's completely autonomous. A lot of its states are going to be determined by like preset options. So you need
Production,
them
can
to
we switch to a driver cam? If we switch to a driver cam, can we see the victory point total? Red CU has got to be getting quite a bit here.
Red CU is currently at 121. Blue CU is currently at 19 points. So red has a very strong lead over blue, but we might see a turnaround in the next few minutes or so. Or not. It seems like the red engine is going to be able to keep pushing out blue every single time it goes back. And maybe not.
The sentry, please tell me the sentry is in the resupply zone this time. It retreated pretty far back. Hopefully he was able to heal, which is back up.
It,
Man, those standards are close.
we're looking at a blue resupply. All right, now we're going to see the standard go back in, try to take the middle. For the sentry, okay, the sentry is just retreated, might be going back to middle, but it seems to be stuck. I don't think the sentry is getting back in the home base. Oh, it just got back in.
Whoa. The sentry just like jumped. I don't know if anyone else saw that. Um, chat clip it. I think it jumped. Yeah, the sentry's getting so close to the resupply zone. CU might use this bit of information, right? I mean, they might adjust a little bit of its driving and just bump into the back wall. It's not really a
Mhm.
downside there. Um, man, really interesting to see how it navigates. Its head is still scanning as it navigates the field, taking the central buff point once again. I wonder what happens. I wonder what the behavior, what the code does on the red CU sentry if blue does not yield, right? So you can't ram other robots. You'll get a yellow card. But I'm watching it as the red sentry pushes towards the middle. The blue standard kind of moves out of its way. I mean, obviously these are their own robots and they don't want to collide because that would be terrible. But I do wonder for future matches what happens if you just don't get out of the way of the red sentry for CU.
I think for you typing lighter robots, I think so. I definitely think that if they're playing against heavier robots, the sentry isn't going to be able to push them out of the way the same way. Oh, and we just got a call for a red win. The Sentry did win this first
Oh
match.
no, all of my channel points are gone, chat. Oh my word. So much effort.
Back to the chat mines. Time to grind for more
Oh,
channel points.
congratulations. Congratulations to Red CU. Blue CU, get wrecked. Can't believe you let Red
Mhm.
CU embarrass you like that.
And we saw
Wow,
this was
okay.
a massive defeat too, considering that red had uh almost a full score and blue just had barely anything. So I
Can you
think this
see
really
what
does.
level the blue standard ended at?
Are we able to see the level the blue standard ended at?
Yeah, Shark confirming in chat that after this victory, AI has officially determined that it will take all of our jobs.
Mm.
Oh, let me ask ChatGPT real quick. Hold on.
All right, guys.
Yep,
I think it's
ChatGPT says yes, they are coming for your
mm.
jobs and your food.
All right. I think
So,
it's time to become streamers, guys. It's the one thing the AI can't take from us.
all right, they're going to fight again. That was match one. We're
Mhm.
doing a best of three,
I believe we're doing a
best of two,
yeah.
just like
We're
groups.
doing
Gotcha,
best of
gotcha. So
two.
they could go 1 for 1 and get points each. I understand. All right, red CU versus blue CU. Um, Production, are we able to switch to the driver cams for this second round? If not, that's totally fine. That was a spicy match. All right, so what can you do differently? If you're blue CU, because red CU, I mean, honestly, great job. Also, it's a computer, so it's not going to hear any of my words or take any of it account. It's just going to roll into my house and post up in front of my fridge to take my food and launch projectiles at me. Um, but if you're blue CU and you're trying to get to the fridge, uh, I think, I mean, like you said, they could be more aggressive, but early, I think they're at a larger disadvantage, right? We've discussed the XP difference.
I think one thing that's special about this specific arena is that the middle wider swing is possible, but there's a smaller swing you can do close to the edges of the map with a bumpy road. I'm not sure if it's visible in the cameras, but past one of the if you see the two vertical walls next to
Yeah.
the middle point, right past that, between that and the wall, there's a bumpy area. And if you're able to go through that bumpy area, you're able to do a much shorter swing. You should be able to peek in and out with more coverage than you would taking the wide swing. I think that might be a possible route for them to take, because essentially you wouldn't be able to hit them as often as they did this time.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you and I agree, and I think chat. If you're looking to see where the bumpy road is that he's talking about, if you look at your bottom view, in the top right hand corner, you can see behind the wall there on the floor. There's some black on the ground. That is where the bumpy road section is. So it's about as wide as the wall is, and stretches from the edge of that wall, the tall internal wall, to the external boundary wall of the field. If I'm blue CU, I think you've got to choose a level at which you engage. So early, I think you just try and peek, you try and deal some damage. You don't care about taking damage as long as you don't die, right? So that sentry's not gaining XP. Um, you would like honestly to take as much damage as you can. You want to damage soak. You need the sentry to run low on projectiles, although I think it starts with something crazy like 200 or 400. I mean, it's just absurd. Um, you want to deal damage to the sentry to get XP. You also get XP for launching the projectiles and then get back to your base just barely without dying, because the sentry will gain victory points every time you die. And then if you get to that threshold, so let's say, for example, that you decide that you think you can take your sentry on at level 7, then I think you just play that game back and forth in and out until level 7, and then you just commit. You wait until the gold drops for that minute. You load up with as many projectiles as possible. You go in guns blazing.
Yeah, I think these kind of games are just going to become games of stat checking constantly. Um, I think it's just going to be constantly just testing out like what the limits are, wherever they are standing during the match. But hopefully that they're able to kind of scale up to beat the Sentry earlier on, because we're seeing here that without that fast scaling, they're almost going to be completely overwhelmed by the Sentry, even if it's programmed to go back at a certain level of health or with a certain like level of ammo.
Yeah, honestly, it's gonna be tough for the CU standard because the AI from CU is doing such a good job navigating the field, right? We saw it retreat to base probably 5 times. during that last match, which is really impressive. Maybe you push even more aggressively, and maybe the key is once you're level 6 or 7 or 8, maybe as the CU blue standard, maybe once the AI for CU retreats, instead of holding the middle point and taking victory points, maybe the counterintuitive play is correct. Maybe you shove, maybe you go full court press. Um, I don't know. I don't see a lot of advantages for that because I don't think you beat a sentry in a 1v1, especially if it's sitting on its healing zone. I think that would be a tough look. But this is a really interesting the round 1 was a really interesting insight into kind of the power of CU's Sentry. It's been progressing each year, right? It was always fast of spinning, and then it started navigating in 23 and 24. It looks like they've kind of got all of the pieces together now.
Seems like my camera just cut off for a second. Are y'all able to see me again? Wonderful.
Yeah, I
All
can see
right.
you. Yes, sir.
But yeah, I think we're seeing the last of the projectiles they cleaned up now. So I think we'll most likely be starting the next round soon. Hopefully, we're excited to see what the new pilots have thought up. I think this is probably a good, I guess, like testing ground to see what does work against the sentries and what doesn't. Because these did prove to be a massive bonus for any team that are able to successfully use them during any kind of matchup.
Guys, if you're hanging out with us in chat, thanks for being here. Additionally, if you're hanging out in chat and you're on a RoboMasters team, make sure that your RoboMasters team comes and watches these. Even if you don't watch them live, I mean, it'd be fun if you came and hung out and watched them live with me. But even if you're just going to watch them in post, this is such valuable information for all of the teams. Like we've talked about here after this round, it's a new format, it's a new style. Everyone, there's a decent amount of advantage and not advantage isn't the right word, but valuable experience being gained by these teams competing early. But also for any of the teams that want to watch, it's great of Purdue to help stream this and help this competition get out there, available for all of the teams in the RMNA region to be able to watch and kind of glean, learn from the experience of others, as it were. All right, they're still swipping, which is, I mean, it's just a testament to how many projectiles were launched in round 1. They've been sweeping for a minute.
Mhm. We're they're almost done. Seems like they're almost done. I see a handful, but I think they're just gonna leave them there for a little bit now. So we're gonna start the round soon then, hopefully.
All right. Red Century CU versus Blue Standard CU. I'm trying to think if there's any other team. All right, maybe UW. Maybe UW and CU. What other teams could possibly lose to their Century? Which is a great thing for each of the teams. We've seen NUS with a decent Century for the last couple years, but then their standard is just so good. But so is CU's. I don't know. That was crazy. Obviously, I bet all my channel points on Blue, so I'm obviously surprised that Blue lost. I wonder if CU was surprised. I feel like standard versus century is one of those matches you kind of run internally. I know at A&M when I was still helping run that team, it was definitely something that we did internally. It helps you check both your standards and your century, right? It lets you try out the auto aiming from your century. It lets some pilots get some practice. It's a great way to play against the computer, right? I mean, literally get a little bit of bot practice in. I can't hear your audio, but I think you said Uh, CU has definitely played INF versus SEN before. Yeah, infantry versus sentry before. Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think most teams with the functional sentry have played infantry versus sentry before. Um, and so my point to all of this rambling was that I wonder if this was a surprise. Like I wonder if CU already knew they're like, oh, when we go 1v1, the sentry wins. Or if in the past they've been able to win it, but because of the game mode style, uh, yeah, yeah, Shar in chat. Thanks. 100% I agree. The Sentry does look so good because it is level 10. We were talking about that with the health bars, right? So as you get a peek at the health bars, it will look like the sentry's winning every trade. So even if they both deal 80 damage to each other, that'll almost kill the level 1 standard on the blue side, and it's not even
Mm-hmm.
going to be a quarter of the health for the sentry on the red side. Um, so
Definitely,
it's
I
no,
think
please go
Sentry
ahead.
does serve. I was gonna say, just Sentry does serve almost perfectly as a very strong like early game player. But I think as the game goes on, I think the other bots will scale to be able to essentially just completely outweigh the value of the Sentry.
It might. That's what I thought was going to happen. In years past, we've seen that like back when there were 3 levels, no one could touch a level 3 standard, and then there were 10 levels, and no one could touch a level 10 standard. And so I assumed what would happen is that for the first, minute of the game or so, the sentry would be dominant, but the CU would get their XP up, and then eventually they would have the projectile launching rate that they needed to really deal significant damage to that sentry. Uh, but too little, too late. I think by the time the blue standard was able to push the red sentry out of the way, then it became a very even trading back and forth. Right? We saw
Mm-hmm.
blue take over, red would go heal, red would come back, they would trade. Well, the blue bot is already damaged from when he took over. So then blue goes back and red takes the central point. And then they're just passing the ball back and forth, playing hot potato so that no one dies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that doesn't work because red started with such an advantage. So I think that you have to pick a decision point at which point you no longer play to live, you now play to destroy the enemy bot instead. So if you're blue, you take the central buff point, you might be at 80% health. But if you're level 10 and now you have to fight a sentry at 100% health, I think you stick it out because you're either going to win right there or you're going to lose right there. But I think trading back and forth, if you trade the objectives late and you lost the early game, I don't think you have a chance of winning. So I think you have to force that final objective and say, hey, we're gonna fight right now over the central buff point. One of us is gonna be destroyed. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so maybe that's what I'm looking for in round 2. I think that's the strat I'm looking to see. More commitment to a fight to the death, as it were, for the robots, a fight to the destruction um,
Mm-hmm.
in the second half of the round.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess it's kind of reiterating the last point that we've seen through all these matches that being more aggressive does pay off in the long run. It definitely pays off in the short term for that team because they're able to immediately take the point, establish a strong lead, and then hopefully by staying aggressive and applying pressure, maintain that lead for the entire game.
Shout out to all of our volunteers um, everywhere. It's right now we're specifically talking about all our volunteers on the field, the sweepers, the projectile picker uppers, making sure that the field is ready and prepped for our bots. I don't know if we have an update on the Purdue side. I see the sentry. I don't see anything in the blue corner, but the standard could be tucked away just out of view. Are
Yep, it
both
is just almost right in the corner currently.
okay? So both bots are
Yeah.
on the field again. Um, I wonder if they'll switch out pilots. Man, there's so much intrigue with CU versus CU. So I don't know if you, I don't know. I think you change one variable at a time. So I think you either switch your strats or you switch your pilots. If you switch your pilots, you just let that second pilot do what he thinks he needs to do, right? You give him a little bit of advice and just see how it falls. But if you switch your strats, then I think you keep the same pilot, and that way, right? You already know, okay, strat 1 didn't work. Same pilot, same performance because strat 2 worked.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all have a coach? Is it interesting, kind of from a strategy point of view? Do y'all have like a strategic team coach?
So we'll Purdue ourselves. We don't have any kind of team coach. I think all the strategy will come from almost purely just our pilots.
Mm, okay. And then you're counting on the pilots to kind of collaborate together
Mhm.
and discuss what y'all are gonna do.
I think our team has been able to work together pretty well. So then
Yeah.
there's like a decent level of communication established between the pilots, so that if somebody just finds something that works, that we're all able to replicate that if need be.
Chat, give me a little bit of feedback here. Let me know if I'm out of robomaster touch. I feel like there's a huge amount of value to be gained for a team by having a strategic coach. Um, John from Texas A&M is probably rolling in his grave right now, hearing me talk about that because he was our strategic team lead, and I don't think I was especially supportive of it at the time. Um, but I think there's a lot of value. I think even if they're not giving specific instruction to the drivers right before each match, um, yeah, Enroy, I agree, right? So if Purdue's drivers are getting together and making a plan before each match, and then specifically, I think what the coach would be good at is being able to watch the games with a little less personal investment, right? Like if you're a driver and you're kind of the reason that your team lost, it's really awkward to rewatch the match back with your buddy who you lost it with and be like, "Hey, look, this is where I screwed up and did a bad job." But if you have a coach that can watch the match and say, "Okay, look, here's where you should have committed. Here's what went wrong in this match." Because as commentators, that's one of the things that we do is we coach. We just don't have a team, so we watch a lot of matches. We will watch a lot of footage. We point out like what went well, what went poorly, what maybe teams could do differently. Um, so yeah, I think there might be, yeah, on where I'm saying there's always non-drivers in the conversation for sure, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I mean as long as the team can do that, and um, you don't necessarily need someone with the title of a coach.
So we
Dude,
currently have
no.
the
Sorry, you
S1
can't
on the
hire us
field.
to coach. It'd be broken. I mean, we'd be able to we'd just pick the winner each year. If you let us coach, it'd be too strong, overpowered.
We currently have the S1 on the field that's just running around taking a look at all the robots. I don't know if that's completely visible on the cams or not. I think you can see a smaller robot kind of darting around.
I do see the little S1. Little laps.
See who is controlling it. I wonder. We have a couple
Yeah.
people. Okay, we're seeing the blue standard start to move around a little. Yep, they're working to get that available.
Oh, Blue Standard 4 just did a little bit of driving around on field too.
Mm-hmm.
It's exciting. It's
Doing
exciting.
some testing.
And it's a good look. It's a good look. Those CU bots sure are pretty. Um,
Mm-hmm.
hard to tell from this view if they've gone back to their like custom molded carbon fiber paneling, but
We talked with one of the C members yesterday, and it seems like they did. The paneling is carbon fiber, and it's incredibly light. They said I think upwards of 15 kilograms at most, um,
yeah,
which makes them spin incredibly fast. I thought they were gonna fly away.
I think it'd be an interesting design study to see if it actually makes the robots lighter. Because the parts that I mean, like there are a couple panels where sure, if you put in carbon fiber, maybe it makes it lighter by a little bit. But you're probably swapping out. Like I'm thinking of the like main levels of the robot, right? You're probably swapping it out for like 1/8 inch aluminum at the thickest.
Mm-hmm.
So the weight difference there is probably very small. And then the external paneling, I think most teams do like a 3D print, some sort of semi-hollow plastic or TPU. Um, so I would be very interested. I haven't done the design study. I haven't looked at the part volumes. Um, but I would be interested to see if it's actually a significant weight savings to move from like a 3D print, which is semi-hollow, to a solid carbon fiber. But it looks really nice. And oh my gosh, CU standard versus robomaster S1. Please don't. Whoever own for the sake of whoever owns that S1.
We believe in the S1. It is equipped with a singular laser.
Hey, the S1s can fire physical projectiles.
I think our S1 in particular has a singular laser. I don't think it actually has any pellets on it, but
Yeah.
it's completely hidden from my view. I think they're hiding behind the wall.
So I assume they're not going to be firing them in the arena. So the S1 projectiles are like Orbeez. You like soak them in water and they shoot like little Orbeez, basically, if I recall correctly. My S1 has been in the hands of Texas A&M's team for several years now, so I haven't played with mine in a while. But um,
I've been informed that unfortunately we may not have any projectiles for our S1. So,
I think I have a container in the garage. I might ship y'all some. It's a hoot. It's
oh,
a hoot and a
that would
half.
be wonderful. That would be very fun. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, chat. We are now in we've now breached the realm into Preston's what else do I have from Robomaster stuff? Y'all want to see some Robomaster relics? Ooh, you know what? Hold on. Let me play Are You Old Enough in Robomasters to know what that is? That's the theme song. All right, you ready?
Mm-hmm. Is
Yeah. Are you old enough in Robomasters to know what that is?
that a speaker?
Nope, not a speaker. Try again. Chat, you can help him if you want. I'm gonna try and keep this very deceptive view held.
Hmm. Just looking at that, I have no idea.
Okay, let me show you a different side of it. Hold on.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, we're in the S1. We'll come
Yeah,
back to my Robomaster relic.
I was gonna
Oh
say, production's asking if you want to have the S1 as its own camera or add it in with the rest of the cams.
no, this is fantastic. Whatever y'all are
Fantastic.
currently doing, just
Fantastic.
chill where it's at. Shar is cooking and it looks great.
Mm-hmm. All right,
And
yeah.
also
Get
whoever's
started.
driving this thing should be firing lasers ad nauseum. Whoa, he's zooming in. So that is one thing. All of the years that we've been hopping in people's HUDs for RMNA and then RMUC, zoom has been an interesting concept. In China, there are teams that will use a physical scope, um, and they will articulate that scope in front and remove from the view of the camera to be able to zoom in and out. Dang, go get him. Go get him, S1. Blast him. Oh, can they show us the bump? Oh, you can see the projectiles being launched. Wait, are they in a game right now? Is this our game footage?
They're currently, yeah, they are currently fighting with the S1, just watching from the side.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, this is incredible. This is the best view ever. We might have to
Just
do this
still
at
go
RMNA
with
this year.
them.
We got both of the bots. You can see the Sentry has retaken the central buff point, just like game one. As we said, the standard really has no hope of taking the central buff point early. As you can see, the bumpy road right in front of you. The S1 able to navigate that bumpy road. Both robots from CU definitely able to as well. CU, the blue standard, doing a little peek here. You can see the projectiles being launched, though, both sides trading back and forth.
I'm surprised S1 hasn't been hit yet. Probably the most surprising part of this match so far.
Standard for the side of CU making his move. He's back. You can fight. You can look at the side. Ooh, overheating his barrel a little bit, but I think that's okay. Again, as long as he doesn't die, I think the standard should be as aggressive as possible. You can see the barrel heat filling up on the side of his projectile speed monitor module as now both teams retreating back to their base. The sentry, so impressive. Able to retreat all by itself. It knows when to move. Hopefully the S1 doesn't get in its way because it's a computer driving. There we go. Wow.
So it seems like one of our cameras actually got hit. One of the corner cams. It seems like our corner camera got hit by one of the projectiles. Because it's
Ah,
showing in the background that it is actively malfunctioning.
it happens. It happens. All right. The sentry for CU pushed up again, took the center once more. But blue standard from CU able to push him off very quickly this time. Uh, this was a
So you
notably
see,
shorter duration.
the sentry is actually completely stuck behind the wall right now. I think it's struggling trying to find a way out. Okay, it did make its way out. Now it's trying to scan around to find its target. I think it's not finding it. It's just standing there.
Blue team taking this opportunity to get a bunch of points, staying in the central buff. The sentry, yeah, as you stated, the sentry from CU did take a path that doesn't have as many uh, recognition points. So the on the side there are letters around the map to help the or numbers to help the robots navigate.
The sentry is down. This center meant to take the sentry off.
The blue standard has taken down the sentry, is what you're saying. I think you're a few seconds ahead of us in the stream.
I'm
Oh, and there it
technically
goes. Blue standard takes down the sentry. Wow, that's going to be 20 victory points to the side of blue CU. This might go 1-1 humans versus AI. As now we'll see if the sentry will need to go back to its base in order to launch projectiles once again.
looking at a 90 to 70 point distribution up now. So red is still in the lead, but blue is catching up right now. So blue does have a chance in the next 2 or so minutes to regain a lead. As long as they keep pushing, they should be able to actually win this
Oh,
round.
blue standard shoved off the central buff point once again. The sentry for Colorado University, mental unshakable.
Mm-hmm.
You can't intimidate him. He's a stinking robot.
I've seen it almost run into other robots and taking the middle field. So
Yeah, that'll be something that we watch out for in 2025 in the RMNA at UCSD, to see if that persists as an issue for CU. Oh my goodness, trading back and forth. The Sentry still holding that central buff point. CU Standard staying a little bit back, pushing him back now. Able to get that Sentry to retreat. Blue CU will retake the buff point much closer than round one. That kill has got to have helped the experience from the blue
definitely
side.
switched it up, yeah. And we're also seeing some innovative new ways of refilling the sentry turret, where they've tried throwing pellets into their box, and now they're just straight up just pouring the entire box just into wherever they can for the ammo receptacle.
This is a dangerous game. Remind me to talk about that after the match. That's a crazy strat. Oh my gosh. I hope everything works out fine for them. That's how they lost the 1v1s last year, I think. All right.
And actually, in our first match yesterday, both teams forgot to reload. You didn't have anybody in the reload section to the game. It was
Blue
almost
side of CU
the first
continuing
time.
to hold the middle. Oh my goodness. A view there of red side CU just pouring projectiles onto the field. They better be writing thank you notes to the volunteers at Purdue. That is going to be a mess to clean up. The Sentry able to use those projectiles though, not letting that mess be made in vain. Able to push the central buff point once again, retake it. Give us a point update. Where are we at?
So right now, we're looking at a red win. Red
Oh
win
my
this
goodness, it's
time.
2-0 for the Sentry. How many points? How
Two
many
and
points did they win by? That has
so
got to be so
looking
close.
at it seems like we're looking at a 153 to 114. So this game was way closer than it was last
Oh
time.
my
We
goodness,
are seeing
153
progress.
to 114.
I
Wow.
think if there were enough games, we'd see a tipping point where Blue would start winning. But I think for these kinds of short, like burst of two or burst of three round games, like these kinds of games have to be made so quickly, and these have to be like realized like it's just a short time frame that it really is difficult for the pilots to do that while still trying to, I guess, like keep whatever strategies they still have.
Yeah. Hey, S1 pilot, you want to just hang out by one of the robots for a little bit? Just let us get a nice long, yeah, just chill there for a minute. Okay, all right. Yep, you're nodding. That's very nice. There. Oh, yeah. Just I don't know if you can actually hear me, chat. I doubt it. Um. Oh, did I vote for the AI? I don't remember what I voted for. Perfect. Perfect. All
Painted
right, chat.
red. Oh man.
That was incredible. Great job from CU. Just excellent performance from both sides. The coolest camera view we've had in a RoboMasters in a long time. Look, wow, this is a
Mhm.
wheel, guys. It's actually a very interesting module. Looks like a swerve module to me. I think I can't see the wheel type, but just from the tall module that's above the wheel, I would assume. Yep, yep. You can see the netting trying to protect some of the electronics from the projectiles. In years past, we've seen, I mean, wires be severed, connectors be blasted off of the ends. It is a rather violence, not the right word. It's a intense competition with physical projectiles. So you do, yeah,
Of Arkwood Environmental.
you do get quite a bit of actual physical battle damage on these robots. Wow. Oh my goodness, we can see you from both sides.
All right, so I asked to see if we can move the S1 computer here if nobody's using it. So we can probably move that around on the field live while we're seeing the matches play out. I'm moving the laptop over here. We're gonna have
Well, you
multiple
telling me you're
computers
gonna pilot the camera and commentate at the same time?
at the exact same time. We're gonna multitask here.
Bro, that's too much. That's too much.
We love multitasking here.
Chat, shout out this crazy man who's going to be the camera operator, the producer, the commentator. No shade on our actual producers because I think we have a couple producers behind the scenes right now and they're doing a great job and I appreciate you guys.
They're
Uh
doing absolutely wonderful.
crazy.
All
Crazy,
righty.
crazy, crazy. Okay, so let's talk about
Thank
let's
you.
talk about the ammo dump. because I do have some thoughts from last year. So if you weren't following the 1v1s closely from last year, and if I'm wrong, Steven will eventually correct me in chat. If he's not here live, he'll correct me in post chat. But I believe that CU actually lost their 1v1 like finals last year because while they were filling projectiles, they poured a bolt into the hopper of their
Mm.
a zip tie, excuse me, a zip
Oh.
tie into the hopper of their robot, which jammed their robot. And so I am shocked and appalled that they are dumping from the bucket projectiles into their robot. They may have been so behind the scenes, you're allowed to strain the projectiles. Like I said, this is a physical projectile game. These robots are having pieces of them blasted off. It is very much a combat robotic sport. Um, and so it is not like you cannot guarantee that the projectiles are going to be robot bit free, right? There might be bits of plastic, there might be zip ties, there might be bolts and nuts in the projectiles. So some teams strain their projectiles to make sure that they have a clean uh, ammo supply to use. And so it's very important that teams do that. So it may have been that CU strained their projectiles, then just dumped from the bucket. But it makes me very nervous in my heart to watch them dump projectiles into their Sentry robot 2 months before comp. After last year, they lost the grand finals of 1v1 because they didn't get clean projectiles. So shocking, very nervous. See you. Don't do that, guys. Just or strain it. Maybe you strained it, trying to
I
give you the
think
benefit of the doubt. But
I think so far we haven't seen that many jams in any of our competition. I think they did actually take precautions to make sure that that wouldn't happen.
good.
Um, and I think yesterday we talked about how the Purdue hero would not jam. I'm sure. I think
Oh
we
man,
Shore and I talked about this,
yeah.
and I'm happy to say that the hero did not jam. Actually, we're quite proud to say. And I believe the next competition we're looking at, according to the schedule, seems to be CU versus U Madison.
All right, chat. As previously stated, I will donate one sub. The hero didn't jam at all. Not even once. Not even a little bit. Oh my gosh, dude, that's freaking crazy. Shout out to Purdue. All right, here's
I
if you're
will
in chat
say,
right now, I think one of you just randomly gets the sub. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out.
for the sake of some veracity, it's because the hero just wasn't fielded the entire time. So it's only true by technicality.
Well, but let's talk about how impressive that is. 42 millimeter projectiles are so tough to feed
Mhm.
without jamming. Everyone's robots jam. If you've been watching our podcasts, I think a couple episodes ago, I was doing a podcast about UW's victory road, just all of their wins back to back to back, and we watched when Virginia Tech and UW's heroes um, both jammed, right? I mean, for years, the top teams in the whole competition have had issues with their heroes jamming. Last year, Texas A&M had to ram their hero into a wall to get it to fire projectiles because it kept jamming. So impressive that Purdue supposedly is able to year one have 42 millimeter projectiles for the first time launching on the field with no jams. That's incredible. Shout out to y'all. I don't know if you want to share anything about if you're indexing. So one of the strats that teams have used is using a second flywheel before the actual launching to feed the golf balls. Think like a baseball fast pitch machine. One of the other strats that is common is to have rollers in the tube along the edge of the tube to reduce the friction of the projectiles as they're pushed up for those bottom fed heroes. Um, any you want to give us any insight? Any insight into design decisions that y'all made for your hero to prevent the jamming issues that are so prevalent in RMNA?
So I'm technically in the electrical team, so this is a good question for any mechanical members we have.
Ah, okay, okay. So you're saying that the real reason your hero is so goaded is because you gave it electricity. That's
Um,
you heard it here first, chat. Give the robots electricity.
if you think about it, that will make it work. You know.
Yeah, it will jam without electricity.
True.
He's the
True.
electrical lead right here. Giving it to you straight. Giving it to you
Oh,
straight.
fun. Okay, seems like the phone fell from there. Um,
Oh, you're good.
let's
I don't think we were looking at it. No.
We currently, small shout out to Boilerbot on Instagram. We currently have a live of the front of this field, so it's an extra angle that isn't included because we just don't have the proper cameras for it. Because as everyone's seen previously, we have currently 3 cameras. One of them kind of focusing in the middle, and we have one from each corner. This one kind of focuses more on the entire field. But unfortunately, the phone has fallen down, so that was down for a couple seconds.
Thank you for the update on the phone. I love that. Keeping the audience fully informed.
Mhm.
Um, Hopefully the phone will recover soon, and we will have you
Prayers are
once
with the
again.
phone.
Yeah, guys, thanks for hanging out in here, chat. Honore, I'm glad you got the gifted sub. You deserve it. Thanks for being here. Thanks for chatting with us this morning. Y'all, if you're just hanging out,
Mhm.
make sure you have subscribed on our YouTube. Give the Purdue YouTube a subscribe as well. They're also streaming the competition today. Um, Make sure you follow our Twitch, and if you've got a Twitch Prime sub you want to throw
Mode
us,
is
we
off the
appreciate
box.
it. That Twitch Prime sub will also get you out of ads. We're running like 40 seconds of ads every 30 minutes or something this year, just to help support the RMNA competition. We're becoming more and more financially independent and self-sustaining as an organization, which really will help the longevity of the North American region. So your support is really appreciated there. Thanks for being here and hanging out, though. Really, first and foremost, it just makes the whole experience better for everyone. If y'all are chilling with us, watching the games, watching the matches. Is the up next correct and accurate? Is it CU versus UWM? Is CU going again?
CU versus U.
Dang, is that University of Washington Madison? That's what my brain
Wisconsin
thinks.
Madison.
Wisconsin Madison. Sorry, I'm from Texas. If I only know about Dallas, Austin, and Houston.
Yeah, I know some people who go to
Yeah, and San
US
Antonio.
and they say UW. So yeah, I also make that connection constantly. It's like I have to make the constant like correction in my head.
Very excited, very excited. All right, so CU is definitely gonna be a tough one to beat in this match. I mean, we've just seen their
Hmm.
century and their standard extremely competitive, very functional, really coming down to strategy and commitment and I mean maybe a little bit of accuracy. Who knows without a really close look at the stats. But the two of those together on one team, that's gonna be tough. The Century is able to play the early game so well, and then the Standard is able to play the late game so well. I, I mean, I don't really. Let's play coach. Let's play coach for a second. Your UWM. What's your advice? You got, let's say you've got 2 minutes before the game. What are you telling your pilots?
I think it's just going to be if you have a sentry, just play as aggressively as you can. I think using the sentry to take that early game advantage and then being able to maintain it with some kind of sentries, with some kind of standard scaling, should be able to essentially win you the round. Because we've seen constantly in these games that any kind of aggressive play almost always seems to net positives for whoever's making that play. And if they're able to maintain that lead, it doesn't really matter how aggressive the other team is, because in the end, you're just going to be able to catch up whatever point game they had. And in the end, that's what really matters in the end. It's just being able to maintain the lead that you take.
Okay. I like it. I like it. Counterpoint, if I was their coach, I think I'd say, let's take an honest look at our century. If our century is worse than their century, let's run hero standard. I haven't thought through this take deep enough to think if it's really a good take. So chat, let me know what you think. But I
I
think
think
this
they've
might
had. Sorry, continue.
sorry. I think this might be the year we see teams draft their team comp based on, at least in 2v2, which is really interesting, based on who they're playing against. Because your century being strong early is not nearly as useful if the other team's sentry is stronger early, because you don't really want your sentry to be aggressive if it's going to run to the middle and then get smoked
Mhm.
by the CU sentry, right?
We
Um,
actually saw in one of the previous games, we saw a Sentry Standard go against a Hero Standard comp, and the Hero almost immediately got melted. Um,
yeah,
So I think there is a world in which this would work, but this would have to be a very coordinated style of play. And they would
okay.
have to play a little more carefully, I think, in the early game because Sentry will just completely dominate that early space.
So let's
Um,
let's Hannah Montana the situation and get the best of both worlds. I think your sentry needs to have multiple attack modes. So I think what needs to happen is you need to have like an aggressive slider so that you can tell your sentry, hey,
Mm.
you know what? We're versus CU this round. Their sentry is going to play very aggressive and outperforms our sentry. So we're going to take that slider and slide it down a little bit so that our robot is slightly less aggressive. Um, and that would allow the team to your point, right, to have that early level health and projectile launch rate and things that the sentry comes with, but still in a manner where they're not just sending their sentry out to the middle to be spawn killed over and over and over by the more impressive sentry.
All right, so we're going to be moving the S1 hopefully into the field so we can get a closer look at everything.
Hey Shar, when we're in the S1 view, can you get rid of our commentator views and just give us pure Robomaster Field glory? I mean, everyone already knows how awesome my face looks today. They're aware. They remember. They'll catch it after the match. Um.
So I think here
Oh
we're
snap!
seeing a 2v2 game, it looks like.
Yeah.
We have a standard red sentry, and then on the other hand, we can look on this side.
Oh, here we go.
And
Red standard, red sentry for CU. Oh, that's gonna be scary. That's gonna be scary for UWM. Let's go take a look at those UWM bots. All right. Whoa. All right. All right. The S1 is nodding back at the robots. Friendly reminder to our S1 pilot maybe to not nod so much. Our S1 view may be a little bit stuck.
it's slightly,
Oh, we're
it
back.
seems like it has disconnected.
All right, the game hadn't
Um,
started yet.
here.
Do. All right, chat. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. Let me take a quick peek at the schedule.
It's right in that corner. So the
Looks like
S1
we're.
has
Sorry, go
slightly
ahead.
disconnected. The S1 has slightly disconnected. So
Mm,
we're just going to see. Does chat want
no
to?
problem.
Would chat
You're good.
rather
You're good. You're good.
take
All
it?
right, but taking a peek at the schedule, we currently have CU versus UWM.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the matches scheduled for today would be RHIT versus VT, and then VT versus Purdue, and then RHIT versus Purdue. Some back-to-back games for VT and for Purdue. So I would anticipate that they might swap around a little bit. And we are running a little bit behind schedule this morning, but not terribly. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But that is the plan as of right now. Oh, that's
Oh,
fine,
that
guys.
is.
Thanks so much for being here and being subscribers. Because if you can hear me right now, you've hit that sub button. All right, time to earn some
It
of my
seems
channel
like
points back.
I think we're seeing some lag issues on the pilot side actually within the field. Um, so currently it seems like the standards are actually experiencing lag while they're playing the game. So they're playing like a second or two behind at the very least, which is impressive considering how they've been going. So something to look at.
Yeah, that makes it even more impressive that
Mm-hmm.
the CU standard was able to be so competitive against the Sentry, because the Sentry is not playing with lag, because it is a computer and it doesn't need to stream its consciousness anywhere to get instructions. It's all happening on board. Um, Guys, if you are hanging out in Twitch chat, reminder that you can vote. You can use your channel points, your cubes, your gold, which chat was correct. That is what I was holding up previously. We'll take a look at it again later. But you can vote on who you think will win the next round or the next match. The UWM from Wisconsin or CU from Colorado. What's the mascot of UWM? Anyone know?
The UWM mascot.
I could do Google.
Pounce the Panther.
Pounce the Panther?
Mm-hmm.
Pounce the panther, but probably it's the panther that pounces. So it's probably Pounce the panther who pounces.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It says the University of it's the second one. University of Wisconsin Madison. Seems there's also a Bucky Badger.
I hope they're friends. I hope they're unlikely animal friends. Pounce the panther, and Bucky the badger.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe crime fighting friends. All right. Verbal
I think
TM, verbal
a game
trademark.
start.
If I make a TV show about Pounce the panther and Bucky the badger, who are crime fighting animal friends, copyrighted, verbal copyright, mine, dibs.
So I think we're seeing a Sentry stand completely still over here, Beyblading incredibly quickly. All right, so now we're seeing Blue immediately taking the lead over here. And now we're seeing Sentry kind of fight for that space. The Blue getting pushed off immediately. The Sentry does have that early game advantage.
That all sounds very exciting. All I'm seeing right now is the red corner from the view of the S1, I think. Oh, there we go.
I think there is actually a bit of a lag between many of our feeds and the main field. Because
But
right
as you
now
were saying, CU taking that central buff point kind of as expected.
yeah, and we're seeing right now, even the score right now, it's almost 30-2. So Blue does have a lead to try to grab here. If they are able to take the lead, it's still possible from now, but Red is slowly gaining more and more of an advantage as time goes on.
University of Colorado holding it down with their sentry. It'll be interesting to see what their standard does level 1. If I was them, I think I'd peek the enemy's bumpy road, because then you'll be covering both sides of that wall that allows access to the center. The sentry is going to do a great job of defending the large entrance. So if the standard can defend the small entrance, then they will completely shut down all paths for UWM to the victory points.
So interesting move by UWM right now. Sentry went off point and UW just went completely backwards back to blue base. And I wonder what the thought process was behind that move.
Yeah, that is interesting. That was an opportunity for them to try and grab the center point, but also, right, this is also a time for them to heal up, to get more projectiles, to purchase more virtual projectiles, get ready for the next encounter. It's not going to get them any victory points, but perhaps they are really just putting all their eggs in the late game basket.
True, that is definitely possible. But right now, we're looking at what is almost a 120-2. So the lead that Red has right now is almost like a complete domination.
Yeah, UWM's got to push for sure. If they're going to push, now's the time. I don't think they can wait much longer. CU will have a lead that's just insurmountable, especially with the current time.
Yeah,
There we
and
go.
you have the limit. You have the limit at 200. I think this might just be CU just completely dominating, because yeah, Blue UW just hasn't had the opportunity to gain that many points at all, and I don't know how far the scaling is going to actually help, considering there's only around 2 minutes left, and CU is very close to winning. They almost have like 200 points. So
The CU robots are very tall. I wonder how close they can fire and still hit a standard's armor panels.
the sentry is jumping right now.
Okay, I swear I saw their sentry jump last game. That's not intentional, right? That's just them running over a projectile.
I think
UWM takes the central buff point.
this is low clearance for those robots compared to other ones. So they are definitely way closer to the ground than any of the other like designs that I've seen so far.
UWM showing us a little bit of what happens here is it gets bumped out of the central buff point by the sentry. It'll be an interesting things for us to discuss later, what yellow cards would mean for a sentry, because there's no driver cam. Typically it turns off your driver cam. So UWM coming back into the center. A little bit of collision here between the two bots as they try and push. CU really not yielding, giving us the answer to the question that we posed in the first round of what happens if you just don't back off from the sentry. The answer is the sentry doesn't back off either. When two robots are contesting the central buff point, I believe whichever robot got there first will continue to gain victory points. So CU should still be increasing their victory point lead.
This game was called for red, and this was an almost like absolute destruction for UW. The game ended with a 200-18. So this really just shows how powerful the Sentry is compared to just the standard, and not being able to take that early game lead. This really does like destroy your chances to win, especially considering this is technically a 1v2. Because it's two of CU's versus one of U Madison's.
Yeah, congratulations to Colorado. And a great job from UWM. I mean, 1v2, right, against one of the top tier teams in RMNA is a tough challenge. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty much an impossible challenge, right? 1v2 versus CU. But they've done an excellent job. That was they got a couple points, they played the fights well. They didn't die. Like it's not like they got dominated, like they were getting spawn killed and just were aced the whole time. We've definitely seen stronger stomps than that. But the
Mm-hmm.
central buff point giving us a really main focus for the game, right? In previous games with previous map designs, there have been different areas, different hot zones that you had to contest. With one mutual zone of contest, it really does showcase that even if you're just slightly advantage or slightly better than the other team, you will get the points, right? If you don't have to leave, you'll be the one getting the points. Whereas in years past, right, your base damage might be slightly ahead, but that's always overcomable.
Definitely, I think yeah, stat checking is going to be very important as we kind of move through because we're going to see like where the thresholds are for each robot for when like sentries will start losing or when standards will start becoming a bigger player on the field. And hopefully we see like some strategies like evolve around those kind of things.
Yeah. In 1v2, I'm not sure there's too much that UWM could do to win the
Mm-hmm.
next one, frankly. But again, they are still gaining driver experience. Their robot is getting stress tested. They're learning a little bit about different strategies that they can try. They can try out the bumpy road. They can try out a lot of things here, which are still very useful for the team. So props to them for understanding that. Right, it can be tempting when you're going into a 1v2 to just say, hey, you know what, we're fine. We're not going to compete. We don't want to break our robot. We don't want to do damage we have to repair or lose money breaking pieces. They understand the value that these rounds give them for the season on a whole, and that's really great.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think we talked about this as well yesterday. Like this is a great opportunity for teams to stress test and to get like field experience with their robots, so that when RMNA comes, they'll be more prepared, and we're gonna see even better designs hopefully, and even like bigger strategies compared to what we see now.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, the competition is so early. So we're in April. The RMNA finals will be in late June. So teams have 2.5 months. I got all of April, all of May, and probably maybe half of June. There's still time for even a few small mechanical changes from here, right? Like obviously they can make software changes, they can make strategy changes. Um, but y'all are holding this competition so early that if these teams wanted to, right, teams could implement things like the fly swatters. Teams could change things about their robots that are fairly substantial. There's plenty of time between now and the competition, which is a great boon to the teams.
Definitely, yeah. And as like just for Purdue in particular, like even we have certain like projects currently underway to improve the robot for RMNA. And given this extra time to stress test everything and see what works and what doesn't, it definitely is like a massive boon for us to be able to try out and see how everyone else is doing as well.
I know Shar is assembling some statistics. That way, this next year during RMNA, we're able to discuss a little more analytically the teams and the matchups and what's going on. And I think one of the interesting stats to track might be participation in the Midwest competition. I think we might see some of these teams perform better than we would have expected. Right, we might see them come out a little bit stronger than perhaps we would have guessed in at the end of the competition last year. Right, made more progress throughout the year because of the options and the benefits that they're getting from Midwest. This is also an opportunity, right, for all the teams to get together. So we've talked
Mm,
about the benefit of the competition, but also you're once again in a giant room on campus with like 8 different teams who have different strategies, who have different code bases, who have different mechanical builds of their robots. It's no longer an echo chamber. You're not sitting around with your own teammates saying, "Man, we built the best robot ever. What do we need to change this year?" Which understand every team is built of great engineers who are able to innovate and improve their robots, but having a fresh set of eyes, being able to look at 7 other examples of what other teams of great engineers have
Mhm.
built is also super, super useful. I know my first year at RMUC, after we were eliminated, I just walked around the pits, um, looking at all the different bots in person, looking at all the different feeding styles, the different drivetrains, the different wheel types, the different like morphologies of the robots. Like, how big are they? How small are they? Really tall? Are they really short? What's their wheel clearance look like? What kind of suspension are they running? Does the suspension allow the wheels to go up? Do they pivot? Like, there's so much that you can get into with these robots. So just being in a building together, even for these teams. So even if you have a team here that you were waiting to see and they don't compete, or they compete and it doesn't go super great, they're gaining so much from participating in this conference.
Yeah, I think there's definitely like there's something different about having it in person, rather than trying to do these kinds of things digitally or through some kind other kind of venue. I think there is some like greater level of experience you can get by doing all this stuff in person and really like stress testing them to see what their limits actually are.
Yeah, and I believe y'all are even holding like a small technical conference, right, at the end of today.
Yep.
Um, so that
We current
I mean, obviously is an additional opportunity for teams to have a
mhm.
bit of a knowledge share, um, and exchange information and kind of get better together. The Midwest will rise, some might say. Maybe there's bumper stickers. I don't know.
And additionally, we have a sponsor presentation by our sponsor, Arkwood, and you probably saw their logo on one of the robots as well. So, shout out to them. Thank you for sponsoring our event. It's been a huge help. We'd love to have you here. For people who I guess might be here in person watching, currently, this on the other side of this arena, they have a table set up, and they have a representative who's willing to talk to people. So if you are interested and you're watching this and you're here, they are available. So go down there and talk to them. Highly
Awesome.
recommend it.
Heck yeah. Yeah, shout out to Arkwood. That's
Mhm.
great. All right, CU versus UWM will be our next match, and then Purdue. You want to confirm? We're running those next four as well. So we swapped. It's been moving. I'll just be patient. Someone will update that sheet. Someone will update the sheet for us, and we'll take a peek. So what I was saying about the height of the CU Sentry is I wonder if there's an interesting like standard design where you build a really short robot that's capable of firing projectiles basically straight at the level of enemy armor panels, which would allow you to get very, very close to the enemy bot and make it difficult for them to get a good angle at your panels, but you still have a good angle at their panels. This would be similar to, I mean, if you throw all the way back 2021, 2022, the UW Hero was extremely squatted. Like it almost looked like if you looked at it now, if I showed you a still of that image, I bet you would think that it wasn't functional, that it wouldn't fire projectiles because you're like, where is it even getting the projectiles from? But it was, and it did launch projectiles. So I think um against teams like CU, there might be a window for something like that, for a team to be so low that getting right up against that sentry in particular, who might not have the mental wherewithal because it's a robot to scoop back. It might just lose sight of your armor panels and release that target lock.
And so I did get some confirmation. We're gonna have one more round between CU and U Madison, and then after that, I believe we have our hit versus V.
All right, UWM versus CU, and then our hit versus Virginia Tech.
Yeah, and that is the current plan. Um, so hopefully we'll see that. So we haven't seen. Actually, no, we have actually seen both teams play this morning. So, actually, no, sorry. Sorry, no, our hit did play this morning. Sorry. So I hopefully we'll see if they make some micro changes or if they're still going with whatever they did last time. Exciting to see if they uh, had any learning opportunities from these current games.
Were you able to see in person? Are you able to see what those fly swatters are made out of? They kind of look like styrofoam from my digital view.
We can maybe ask them once I see somebody on their team come back.
Oh, you're good. You
So
don't need to find out right now. I was just
yeah,
curious. When we watched our hit this morning, I, just peeking at it, it appeared to me as if it was like a styrofoam wing.
I think once
Oh,
we
look at that! Nice view of the UWM standard. Oh,
yeah, I
ah,
think one thing that's surprising is that is an
ours.
incredibly fast robot. Um,
Yeah, it is. And Char just I think he was showing us a clip there of the UW hero from the early days.
mhm,
As we see UWM's standard navigating the field very nicely, getting a bit of driver practice in, which is not. I mean, it's not a bad idea. Um, in like the official in the grand finals of RMNA, I would say, oh no, they're burning some battery because the battery voltage dropping as the robot wears through its battery does have an effect on the team's performance for a lot of teams.
mhm.
It, you can work around it, but for most teams, your driving will change. Your driving characteristics will change as your battery decreases in charge level.
Yeah,
Um,
and hopefully we'll see the pilots also. I think considering that they've been able to practice at least somewhat with these robots, that they're gonna be able to acclimate to those kinds of changes. And hopefully not get caught off guard in the middle of a match with some kind of drop in some kind of performance.
yeah, no, I agree. I agree. That can be made by pilot, right? And then there's also something to be said. You can make some software changes, either time dependent software changes, or if you have a power management system, you could make battery state software changes. Like you might send a different PWM signal to your flywheel motors. You might tell your flywheel motors to spin faster as your battery starts going lower to keep your projectile launching speed near the maximum. I know in years past that's been a concern for some teams as their batteries start to go out.
Yeah,
I've seen some heroes running multiple batteries actually to try and circumvent these issues. Just because I mean the golf balls take a lot of energy to launch. The heroes are usually a heavier and larger robot. As we see the standard for UWM, just practicing, doing a little bit of navigating, woo, weaving through the walls.
I think
That has
we're
been
seeing
one.
some technical difficulties with CU's robots.
Uh-oh, UWM has a chance. Don't call it a comeback yet.
Wait and mm-hmm.
Yeah, Chad, just a quick reminder that this is UWM's first couple years. They started last year, and they're already looking really good. That's something that I'm really proud of the RoboMasters North America community for, is I believe that the strength of the community has helped teams get off the ground quicker. We were just talking about the University of Washington's year one RMNA robots. And if you watched that UW stream when we did that podcast, you'll know that in year one, the VT robots, the UW robots, they were functional, but they were jamming. They were having overheat issues and overpower issues, things that nowadays would be surprising for a team. I mean, VT had been around for 3 years at that point, 4 years. Um, but because of the strength of the RMA community, and I mean all of these shared resources and the open source nature of a lot of the code aspects that have been shared, shout out to Taproot. Uh, it has allowed teams to join the RMA community and get a much quicker start. It's also provided a format. So back in the day, teams like Virginia Tech were building 7 robots from the start. So was Texas A&M, and I can tell you it's tough. It spreads your resources really thin. It spreads your people really thin. RMNA has created 1v1s and 3v3s, which allow teams to compete a lot more easily. But I think we're in. I think CU has taken the central buff point and is
Mhm.
starting to gain victory points against the University of Madison.
All right, so that scared me for a second, but yeah, we're seeing an almost immediate lead by C over here, by with the Sentry. United is going to try to get the Sentry to lose, so we're seeing that they're getting completely pummeled right now.
Yeah, U Madison doing a little bit of peeking, but oh, it's tough.
I
They're
think if
peeking
they
that
tried,
open wall. I wonder if the bumpy road would be an option here. I haven't seen many people try and use it against CU's Sentry, but the Sentry is doing a great job of picking up on U Madison.
oh yeah, it's almost completely just finding, but oh, zero completely got decimated there. Went back to zero.
Madison CU engaged once again. I think this is the fight you were just discussing. Oh my goodness! And as U Madison moves back and retreats, it's taken down by Colorado Sentry. Their standard not well, I can't tell. Can you tell if their standard is firing projectiles from way back there? The standard for CU?
It seems like they're trying to, but it seems like the Sankey just immediately does to completely dominate them because it does get those first hits in, and because of the early game advantage, it is able to.
Yeah, UWM trying their best here. CU, the Sentry, really, really impressive. Is the standard from CU also launching projectiles?
I think I think they just found a weakness in the Sentry. Is that they've moved close enough that they actually can't see it. Now they're trying to use their own standard to try to take UW's infantry out. Oh, okay, yeah, I was seeing that the 2v1 really does hurt them in the long run. Because now they're beginning and um they just got destroyed.
All right, but shout out standard Prez for a second because it kind of seems like maybe the answer that I gave during round one, where you just really get close to the Sentry, kind of totally works against CU because they built such a tall robot. So
The one
uh
downside here is that the infantry, because of this is a 1v2 now, so they are
yeah.
able to use their infantry to still protect the sentry. But I think if it was a sentry versus infantry game, the infantry does have that singular tactical advantage in the early game. That if they can't rush and just stay close to it, they could still fire and win.
This is hilarious. It almost makes the standard like a melee bot.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you can stay within range, you win. But if you get kited by the sentry, you're just gonna get decimated. Um,
Yeah,
as you've stated, though, I mean a 2v1, right? There probably isn't much hope for a victory for UWM, but already benefits streaming to their team as they find a chink in the armor here of Colorado.
and I think that my prediction for RMNA is we're gonna probably see at least this team maybe try to do something like this during the competition if they do end up going against sentries because this does prove to be a way to at least somewhat negate the sentry's ability to kind of be a threat on the battlefield.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree 100%. And it looks like that is the end of the game, and it doesn't take a mathematician savant to tell you that CU should be the victor of round two there.
We're
Uh,
looking at a complete sweep. It was 200-0.
200-0.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah,
it was
I didn't see a moment in that game where U Madison took that central buff point. So excellent, excellent job from Colorado. But also UWM finding a neat little strat there.
Mhm.
And quickly too, right? Round one to round two. I mean, they had 10 minutes in between. Um, a quick adaptation from their human driver to try out something new, try out a different strat. Really meta testing in the best possible way at the Midwest Conference here.
Definitely, yeah. So now they're cleaning up. Next game is, I believe it should be our hit in VT. Our hit in VT for the next round. We're currently waiting for VT to get set up, and then as soon as they do, we'll move it over here, and then we can get the round started.
How would you feel about a 5 minute break? Like you don't need to tell the live side to take a break. I'll bet that if we took a 5 minute break, we could hop right in right before the match.
Yeah, I think in 5 minutes they should be ready, right?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
hopefully. Yeah.
Producers, if we want to go to a 5 minute break, yeah. And then, guys, we'll be right back. It probably will be 5, 7 minutes. and then we'll be jumping right into the next match. Thank you so much to everyone for hanging out. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, be right back.
Hey everyone, welcome back. We are taking a little look-see now at the robots of I believe this is RHIT with those fly swatters in
Hmm.
place from our S1 live cam. Taking a little peek here as they're getting ready. It's going to be RHIT in the blue, Virginia Tech in the red. Um, RHIT fielding their second bot. Here we go. I'm super excited. It's gonna make me sound really biased if I try to express just how excited I am for RHIT, but y'all don't understand. I've watched them grow from the whole way up, and they're a team that has had. I mean, every team has had some bumps along the way, right? RHIT had some bureaucracy issues with the school and things a
Hmm.
year or two back, and I'm so glad they're able to overcome those and just kind of keep their positive attitude that they're known for in the community and get robots that are looking clean. Like those just look good.
And I also, just to put it out there, we also have a second robot right over here. We have VT standard right up past there. So I believe we might be seeing. Are we seeing a 1v2 in this game again, or will we be seeing a? All right, so I think so. Currently, VT is trying to get their sentry fixed, so we may see a 2v2 here if it's done.
Okay, okay. Can we drive that S1 just real close? Just get us all the way up to the robot. Get up in their personal space. Oh, the robot will take care of it for you. Chat, this is
Right
a
there.
great look at an Omni wheel X style robot. So you can see that the wheels are 45-degree offset from the armor panels themselves. And that there's a pair of Omni wheels in each direction. This gives you a different efficiency profile than other wheel styles. So Omni wheels in the X, if I'm correct, will give you high efficiency for spinning and that lower efficiency for translational movement. Uh,
Mm.
Different
I
teams have picked different options. I mean, I don't know if you have any hot takes on the best drive system. They all have a pro and a con for sure.
I think depending on the play style, I feel like if you're able to play super aggressively, I feel like just being able to go quickly and have a like regular four wheel configuration might be better. But in the case of when you're trying to play defensively or avoid getting hit, I think having this kind of XL Omni wheel might be better because you'd be able to Beyblade way faster with the way higher power efficiency than you would otherwise.
I gotcha. I gotcha. I mean, the Mechan wheel also loses efficiency because when you're driving forward, some of your drive goes into just like compressing your robot. Not all of your drive energy goes straight into that linear motion that you're giving. But a great look here at the Virginia Tech standard. Man, horizontal flywheels, big flywheels, which is a switch that we've seen for a lot of these robots. Chat, if there's anything that y'all want to see on the field, you want our S1 pilot to try and get you a close look at before we swap over. If we're actively driving the S1 and we can take a look at the bumpy road, if we just drive over to that bumpy road gap and kind of look down at it, that would be a neat thing for chat to see. I love
Yep.
the Purdue logo on the walls. It's freaking sick. Makes
Yeah.
it's kind of got that like spray paint esque, like a war zone look to it.
All right, so I've been informed that the S1 is having a few connection issues. We're going to be trying to reconnect it right now to see
You're good. It's all
if it's
good.
able to. But it's all right.
Ooh, yeah. I haven't got to play with the S1 engineer yet. Is y'all's S1 new enough? Does it have the swappable module?
So yeah, I so it seems like the S1 itself has some connectivity issues when it's in the field with a bunch of other robots. So it may
That's
be
fair. Very fair.
so we may have it like so what we can do is we'll have it explore and we take a look at each robot. But I think close to when the round starts, so when the field becomes more populated, we might just take it out.
Yeah, that's totally understandable. All right, chat. RHIT versus Virginia Tech. We'll get a poll here going here in one second, and you can vote. You can use your channel points, your cubes. Reminder: those channel points are free. I'll make the poll. I'll make it right now. Let me make that prediction. All
I think one thing too to
right,
keep
we're
in
gonna.
mind
Yep.
is that VT's Sentry is currently malfunctioning, so they're currently trying to fix that. So there is a chance we may run into another 2v1 situation.
Remind me who's gonna be on the blue side for this competition.
So it's blue R hit, and then we have red VT. So
Excellent.
we
Excellent.
may see a blue win instead of a red win this time. Um, but time will tell. We'll see if they can get the Sentry working. Then we might be able to see VT make the advances. But otherwise, they might have to play incredibly aggressively and then try to steal the lead from our head because they're definitely going to try to utilize their Sentry to like secure the middle.
I forgot that I lost all my cubes. I only have 500
Mm.
cubes. Guys, I had over 7,000 cubes. I was cube
Oh,
stacking. Oh, hey,
that
you
is.
know what? Speaking of cubes, not only can you vote with your cubes, but as the answer, I think Onroy in chat got it correct. The mystery retro RoboMasters item that we saw before was an old school ammo box.
Mm.
So in the early days of RoboMasters, back when really old people played RoboMasters like me, the projectiles were actually stored in the cubes. Instead of doing like a virtual gold system, the engineer robot would pick up the projectile buckets and it would feed projectiles to the robots on its team. And that's how robots would get projectiles in 7v7.
Mm.
Um, which was a really interesting. And then there were different cubes still. So some of them had 17 millimeter projectiles, some had a mix of 17 and 42. So your robots had to sort, and then some buckets had 42 only, and they were different difficulties to get. So thank you for coming to this edition of What's That Old RoboMasters Thing in Preston's Room. I got another one. You want another one? You want another ancient relic of RoboMasters?
Yeah, we've got time
All right.
while we wait for VT to fix their Sentry.
This one's not so ancient, so I think you've got a chance of getting this one. Do you know
Hmm.
what's in this box?
I think it started in the 90s. I'm not sure. I can't tell from the
Okay.
outside.
All right. All right. Let me give you another view so you can get a full size of the box. Chat, you got any guesses? Shar, you can totally guess in chat if you know what it is already. Whoa, 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 whoa. No, no, no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. You did. Oh, it is the right thing, but you didn't earn this from me. No. I have the Victor's Gauntlet. The RoboMasters Victory Gauntlet, like full metal cast. This thing. So uh there was a year where we had 2 of these, but this is
Hmm.
a promotional item that was sent to me back in 2020 when Matt, and I were running live stream English commentary for RMUC. This was sent to us as a desk item, to have on our desk. That way we could, look cool and have awesome stuff on the stream.
I remember 2020. I was
Yeah.
in middle school at that time.
Okay, alright, that
I was
was
a middle schooler.
unnecessary. Well, for those of us who were in college during 2020, we had these cool little metal gauntlets.
Seeing
I'll
Shore
be
just clutch his heart in pain
Yeah,
when he realizes.
that's tough. That's
And
tough. That's
BlackBerry
tough.
was popular almost 20 years ago. So just a few things to keep in mind,
All right.
put things in perspective.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Mhm. You're welcome.
All right. Let's see. I think that's all my RoboMaster stuff that I have within reach. Got a box in the garage, but we'll save that for desperate times. Chad, thanks for being here. Quick reminder if you're just tuning in, this is the Midwest Conference hosted by Purdue. They are sponsored by someone really awesome that Purdue's about to tell you about.
Arkwood. So he's sponsored by Arkwood Environmental. Um,
Cool. Arkwood Environmental, thank you so much for helping this happen. And Purdue, obviously, for hosting this event. Shout out to Shar and the other members of the media team from RMNA as well, helping put this thing on. We have probably 3 or 4 matches left in the Midwest Conference. We're waiting now on RHIT versus VT, and then we've got some matchups between Purdue and some of these teams. So
Mm-hmm.
stick around. We should be finishing in the next couple hours, probably 2 more hours of matches here today. You can look at the VODs for the previous rounds and the previous matches from yesterday in a lot of places. You can look at them on our Twitch here on Robomaster NA. You can go to our YouTube, Robomaster North America, and you can go to the YouTube of Purdue as well. If you go to the Purdue Robomasters YouTube, you can check out the VODs uh, in addition. So no matter where you go, make sure you give that channel a subscribe, give that Twitch channel a follow. That way, turn on your notifications. We will be going live again for some cool podcasts talking about the upcoming games, and then in June we'll be going live to look at RMNA itself. Oh, and in May next month, we'll be doing some live streams of regionals in China of RMUC, which will be a neat opportunity, much like the Midwest Conference, to look at different teams and how, what kind of mechanical innovations we are expecting to see this year.
Yeah, exciting to see what the teams think up. So
Yeah, I mean, already we're seeing a lot of interesting things here. RHIT with the flappers, UWM with the melee strats staying really 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 close. Um, it'll be interesting to see if CU plays with their 2v2 the way that they did in that last round. Obviously, they were in a 2v1, right? So they could do a lot of shenanigans and it wouldn't be disruptive. Um, but they let their sentry just kind of stand on its own until it was in trouble. And the standard for CU just kind of hung back and gained that passive XP over time
mm,
before it actually pushed up and gave reinforcements when necessary. It'll be interesting to see if teams use that as a strategy against teams who they outmatch.
and just as an update for the field, it seems like VT has fixed their sentry, so I think we will be starting the match soon.
All right, so I mean that would mean that we will get a full 2v2 here
Mm-hmm.
at Purdue. Has y'all's weather calmed down? We had tornado watches here yesterday, and I know you had mentioned that you had some there. We're all coming from different places, but somehow having the same weather.
Yeah. Looking at the weather, we have a flood warning currently,
Ah,
effective until
perfect.
Thursday morning. So that's very
5
fun.
days of flood warning? That seems a bit
We've had this.
extra.
We've had one for a while actually. On the weather app for me, it's been showing up for the past couple days. Because it rained quite a bit a day or two ago, and then I think last Monday or last Wednesday. I think last Monday. I have to double check. We had a bunch of rain and tornado warning, which was interesting. We
That's
went out.
crazy.
Yeah, we went outside a little bit. We saw runners running outside still. So there are some just very dedicated joggers.
Well, I'm glad that y'all are having good internet and such today. Things are going great. Thank you so
Mm-hmm.
again for all the volunteers there. Hey,
Yep.
Shar. I mean, what are we looking at? We got like 3 minutes. We'll stick around for 3 minutes. If we have longer than like 3 minutes, I'd love to talk about the 2025 field. I've got a view for us to peek at, but it's the screen share in my video, yeah. But I'm waiting for a little bit of confirmation from Purdue if we're
So
thinking.
we might have a couple minutes still, unless no, I believe we are. I believe we are getting started.
All right,
Actually,
so much suspense, but there it is. All right, chat. One more time. It's going to be RHIT in the blue, Virginia Tech in the red, 2v2, both teams competing at full Midwest Conference strength.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, never mind. 3, 2.
Oh my goodness.
Match just started. They're seeing VT Sentry immediately take middle. with VT Standard trying to go around to try to apply pressure on the side. Okay, our head is trying to get the Standard to take the short peak here. They're trying to take the bumper yard, see if they can try to get it in. The sentries are just battling it out in the middle right now. I cannot see the blue sentry is actually low. It's almost the blue sentry is completely out right now. So it's right now just up to blue standard to try to get that win out. But BT
Whoa.
standard is currently still way above half health. And we see the standard for BT just completely just continue firing at the R hit sentry. So we're seeing very strong early game pressure. Pin score is actually like almost 70-0. So BC has a very strong lead here. So unless our hit can actually get some kind of momentum going, I think it's gonna look very grim for them.
And Virginia Tech's robots are fast. This is
They
a
are
team that's
very
had
quick.
supercapacitors for a long time, but you can tell, my goodness, they're sprinting. And that was a really interesting game start. We had discussed previously the idea that sentries could meet in the middle and just battle to the death, depending on what their coding, what their performance looks like. And that's what we saw here as Virginia Tech now takes a bit of a retreat. Reminder: these bots will have to go back and purchase virtual projectiles, get physical projectiles, and heal, all of which happens at their base square.
Mm-hmm.
RHIT almost taking advantage of that to push for the middle, but being a bit hesitant. Understandably so. They did suffer pretty hard losses in the initial trades of the game.
I think one thing to keep in mind too is that this sentry seems to be very passive right now. It's just continuously going down to 0, and they're not able to actually do anything with the sentry. It's acting very passively. So it is functionally a 1v2 right now because yeah, their sentry is just completely out of the game.
Man, Virginia Tech's innovating like crazy. I think yesterday y'all said that on top of that sentry, what we're looking at is 3 cameras. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that's what they're using to. I think that's the computer vision to try to find targets to auto aim at.
Yeah, a
That's
stark
actually
difference
very
to like CU, who you saw panning, as VT getting a bit more bold with their standard, pushing up more aggressively onto the RHIT side of the base. A full court press here, engaged. Their sentry capturing the victory points. That seems to be the very popular strategy. It's a great strategy to
match.
have. A lot of these high tier teams using the sentry to get the victory points, allowing their pilots free roam of the map without losing control of the central buff.
I just want to point. So we match end. Red completely dominates this match, 200-0. So I think we are seeing like how strong.
Dang, yeah, great job from Virginia Tech. That was really impressive. A lot there to well, I wonder if it was driving by itself there or not. A lot there to unpack.
I think
The
one thing to
triple
keep in mind, from
yeah.
here at least, the cameras on the top seem to raise the center of gravity because from here the top did end up wobbling quite a bit. So I think one thing to keep in mind like, for future designs is the way to try to lower that and try to make that more stable.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think there's several options, right? You could definitely lower your center of gravity, never a bad move. They could probably also add some rigidity to the bot, especially in this style of comp, or depending on where they want to go on the map for RMNA, right? Suspension is always a hot topic. How stiff does it need to be? Does it need to have suspension at all? Um, but stiffening your bot in general might help. The Sentry, I mean, you could also lower your center of gravity by adding mass, right? Rather than making your robot less tall, you could almost do like a weighted system. You could put more weight at the bottom on purpose. With the Sentry,
Mm.
that's not going to be moving around a lot. They've got a lot of options there. Uh, Thank you for pointing that out. That is something that we couldn't see well on the camera views. It was really stark to me, the contrast between Colorado, whose robot is panning and did a great job of locking onto targets every time. Um,
Mm.
but Virginia Tech has a very slight advantage there where their bot is able to keep the projectile launcher facing forward as they move. They don't have to be scanning. They have that wider camera array up top, checking for enemy robots on the sides and behind them. I think this will give them a slight advantage, right? That like half a second or quarter of a second that it takes CU to find a bot, that it takes UW to find a bot. VT will get a couple shots off.
Yeah, and I think for actual matches, unless CU is able to use their standard hero in the match to kind of almost like force the opponent to come out into the open. Uh, Whoever's piloting the sentry on the other team can just peek in and out of cover whenever the sentry is panning. So that is a like prime opportunity to just give fire without having to deal with any in return.
Yeah, I mean, teams could get really coordinated with that too, right? Because there are multiple avenues to attack the center from, and those drivers are in comms. You could have your hero who could have more health, right? You could have a health centered robot and then a damage centered robot, as
Mm.
there are different upgrade paths. And you could have the more tanky member of your team maybe take a couple shots from the sentry, but either keep hold of the sentry's lock or just notify your teammate when the sentry's not looking, right? And then you could do a little bit of poke damage if you got real good at the peak. If you learned how to time it, because you'd need to, as Honore was saying earlier, you'd need to pre-fire a little bit when you're peeking the corner, and you'd need to call it just right. But you could peek the corner and land a couple hits every time against something like a CU standard. I mean, Sentry. In
Yeah,
years
and I think
past.
also
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say one thing too is obvious for this arena in particular, there are technically what two, four, no, three different ways you can technically peek out. You can take the short route, which it would be with the bumpy roads. You can take the long route, which is what most teams seem to be doing. Or there's a second short swing you can take with the diagonals or the vertical um, barriers that are on the field.
Yeah, I and in the actual 2025 RMNA map, so in the finals coming up in June, the bumpy road section is going to be much wider. There's also going to be some elevation and a ramp introduced. So those three paths, there will still be three ways to get from the base to the center. Very similar to the Midwest Conference, they will be slightly different. The obstacles the teams face will be slightly larger as they move from the center. Yeah, you can see here on the map. Just as we were discussing, there's a long route which is very smooth, right? So if you're the red team, you could go from your base to the center buff point like that. The path will be smooth the entire way. You'll be able to move quite quickly. Suspension won't be important, but it's definitely the longest route. Alternatively, you could, if you're red, you could move through the bumpy road. It cuts the corner, and then what I was hoping Purdue would do, let's talk about the third route, but sounds like maybe you guys aren't going to do it. Purdue's blue, right? Well, they're the red team right now, so we'll go with like a pink. But there's a drop off here. So I was hoping we were going to see some two-wheeled robots do a jump and then down as the craziest strategy of all time. Um, but I mean, even if that's not what ends up happening, uh, obviously there's still a route on the way back. So teams returning from the center buff point are able to use that ramp as the fastest mode of getting back. Um, I am super curious, super curious, and this is where I want your input. I want to see if you think it'll happen. Uh, do you think a team will be so aggressive that they will get on the other side? So if you're the red team, right? Could you post up? Could you post up here? Like you think anyone will be that crazy? It would
I
give
think
you
it's possible, but I feel like if they were going to post up, I feel like they would go kind of around on the bumpy side of the wall so they can have at least some level of cover. But I feel
yeah,
like if they
over
do
here.
try
You're
that,
thinking where that red circle is. You think they're gonna kind of
mm,
peek that corner.
yeah,
Um,
I feel like we'll see like a lot more swings in like shorter directions because that does give them one an ability to take cover if they're getting shot at, and two, theoretically, if they're going against like a panning sentry like we've seen, you can essentially just avoid the sentry sight just in general.
I am hoping, and what I think will also be a strong strat. I think you're right. Peeking that corner is definitely gonna be very useful. I'm hoping that as a defensive strategy, so if you're on the red team, I'm hoping some teams will use their standard because there's another wall right here. So you could peek from here, kind of come out, stay on this elevated section of terrain, um,
Mm.
peeking behind the banners, the tall banner walls. This gives you the ability to fire on enemies that are in that central buff point. You'd have a slight elevation advantage there, which means robots are going to have to be firing up at you. It's going to mess with their aiming a little bit for teams that use um, pre-made marks for how far away they should be firing at robots. And then additionally, this is the closest that you could contest from your own resupply point. So you could get really low on health, and then as long as your robot can take this drop, you could just jump straight off of the edge, back to your main base and reheal.
Mm.
I think that is my expectation for where I believe teams will kind of use that elevation. Um,
What I'm curious about is, well, in this arena we've seen sentries essentially rush to take a middle, um, at not at all costs, but whenever they can. But it
yeah.
seems like on this map, sentries could theoretically take a higher ground position and just fire from the top and provide cover for any other kind of piloted robots.
It could. And we've seen really impressive self-driving from these sentries, so that totally is a possibility. I would be so nervous to have the sentry up there. Like it just
Oh yeah.
I am excited. I think it'd be the biggest flex if someone took their sentry and jumped it off of the drop. I think one of the other aspects that we've got to consider is that ramp for the hero has been problematic in years past. So back in RMUC, there have always been ramps, and some of the team's heroes don't have the efficiency to make it up the ramps. Last year, with the bump in front of the base, we saw a lot of level one robots struggling to get over that bump. I think teams are going to have to be a bit more thoughtful and purposeful this year regarding the drive system they use, their minimum power draw, um, and also allowing themselves software wise to maybe hurt themselves a little bit uh, if they need to, right? Sometimes you want to go over your power limit for a second, take a little bit of damage, but get out of a sticky situation.
Mm. Yeah, I think hopefully with this kind of setup, we'll see more strategic thinking, and we won't just see like the same kind of team comps and the exact same strategies between two teams constantly.
Yeah. So I'm gonna take my guess. So I think in a close match, I think we'll kind of end up with a red robot posted up here. Um, that'd be an aggressive positioning from red. And then, I mean, if red's being real aggressive, I think we'd end up with a blue guy in that position that you indicated in the bumpy road. And then, oh gosh, I mean, if they're both really good, I think you get those two centuries. Um, I think you get those two centuries just like you were saying. I think you get. Oh, sorry. I think you get the red century and the blue century both in the middle, just duking it out.
I think we're starting the match, but yeah, I
Oh,
think
the match. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
the match
RHID
is
versus VT
starting
round
now.
two. Virginia Tech doing great.
The match is about to start now. All right, they're all good. Good to go. All right. Oh, never mind. R7 disconnected now. Oh, my hopes just got up, and then immediately.
No, my hopes are still up. You can't take them down. You can't bring them down.
All right.
Virginia Tech in the red, RHIT in the blue. Last game was quite dominant by Virginia Tech. Their century just with a very very strong performance, holding the
So
middle point pretty much the entire game long. Um,
the entire game long. I didn't see
yeah,
him get off the entire time.
I think it came off once, but I don't think RHIT moved on. I think there was a point about a minute into the game, and we'll take a close look during this round to see if it's similar. But I believe 45 seconds to a minute in, our Virginia Tech did retreat off the central buff point, and our hit was a little hesitant, understandably so, to push up. Projectile management is something that doesn't get talked about enough, but is super important in every style of the game. It comes into effect a lot in RMUC, especially for teams that don't have a strong engineer. uh, Projectile management last year, if you watch the semifinals and the finals, you'll see teams like the University of Washington running out of projectiles and just waiting for the gold to drop. Um, I think this year projectile management is going to be more relevant in the realm of holding that central buff point. Oh, but we're going. Virginia Tech pushing again to the middle, very aggressive. Their standard going across the bumpy road. Their sentry taking that middle route directly to the central buff point.
All right, we're looking at our head trying to take the short swing again, but they're just not able to. VT actually immediately spots them. and now they're trying to get their infantry to. Yep, the infantry going in and
Oh,
firing.
that's an
Oh
aggressive
wow!
move by the Virginia Tech sentry. What the heck?
Oh wow! Oh
That
oh, they're hitting them
sentry, that was
in plain
incredible
sight.
driving. The sentry pushed up a little bit extra, came off the central buff point to deal damage to our hit, and then went back.
That is some impressive work. This sentry, well, our hit sentry is just staying in base now, just spinning around. I think what's interesting is that the entire sentry is actually spinning around, not just the base.
Hey, I mean, it's a sentry, so it's got to scan. So you may as well just spin the whole thing.
That's true. That's a very smart move, actually. That way, you're not wasting power. You know.
Yeah, it's a max efficiency move. Virginia Tech, that sentry movement was incredible. That was very human-like AI. It did exactly what I. Oh my goodness, is it peaking?
I think it's staying exactly where it's expecting the infantry to fire at. But VT infantry is just being hyper aggressive. They're firing at our hit when our hit's in their own base.
So that
It's
will
just
give Virginia Tech experience for both launching projectiles and dealing damage, even if that damage is immediately healed. So Virginia Tech really playing that EXP game for their standard, getting it up to par. As you mentioned, the sentry able to leave its barrel pointing at the direction of the last projectile fired because it's got that triple camera setup.
And I will say too, so VT infantry just lost health. So they're respawning, heading back to base. So and now we're seeing the VT infantry just holding down the line.
Oh my
Um,
goodness, you're right. Our hit strikes back, taking out the
this
standard for
is
Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech standard has to go back to base. Can our hit use this as an opportunity? Can they contest against the sentry of Virginia Tech?
I think this game is also called. Our hit was able to score that those 20 victory points, but it's just nothing compared to the almost 150 that VT has. I think VT is just absolutely dominating for both of these rounds. I just don't see how our hit would be able to regain it, especially considering that the sentry is. Oh, they actually found out the weakness again. The sentry cannot aim if they're within like close range.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an issue that lots of teams are going to take a look at after this game. You're right. Our hit does push all the way up, very close. It is a dominant game here for Virginia Tech. Again, they're definitely going to take down the win. But in effectively a 1v2, our hit performing extremely well. I mean, compared to the 1v2s we watched earlier today, our hit able to get a kill. They were able to contest the central buff point a little bit. Um, they're playing very well. I think if they're able to get even numbers, I think they've got the robots and the strategy to compete
Mhm.
with some of these top tier teams.
And we have a call for red team winning 200-22. So
Congratulations, Virginia Tech. Dang, that was. I know it wasn't close score wise. I understand, but there are small pieces of the game that can make the game very close,
mhm.
regardless of what the score shows. And I think this game was much closer than the score reflects. Um,
Yeah, I think definitely if VT did not have their infantry, I think it would have been a called game because R would have been able to just exploit the fact that Sentry cannot aim at things that are really close to it. So we're definitely going to see this kind of strategy at least be used more here. Maybe even be used at RMNA if people aren't able to actually fix that kind of like kink in the armor.
well, and if you combine the two, right? So if you combine the fact that our hit was able to get a kill, and combine that with the fact that they found a way to attack the sentry. They didn't have enough time to retroactively like understand both of those things at the same time and put them together. But if you build an alternate universe here where they take down the standard of Virginia Tech, and then while the standard for Virginia Tech is having to respawn, return back to base, and then come back, they use that as an opportunity to bum rush the sentry, get all the way in its face, and attack it right there. That might be enough to kind of flip the script, right? To start a snowball, to give them that central position, the defense position, a little bit easier to hold. I
Yeah,
think
I think
that's what
the
I'll be looking for in the next couple matches, and then also definitely in RMNA 2025 is our teams
mhm.
able to kind of exploit that short little time they get when they're able to secure a takedown on one of the other robots.
I think the one downside is that these are incredibly short matches. We're talking matches of maybe like give or take 5 minutes, and then on top of that, you only have in this at least in what we're doing now is 2 rounds. So I think if we were to do longer matches with more rounds in between, I feel like we would see a lot of like equalizing where a team might be losing a lot in the beginning, but the chances are they're going to be able to catch up as the rounds go on, and we might see them start to win after like some like X amount of matches.
Yes. I also I also think that with the larger map, because I believe the map size is different, right?
Mhm.
I think the map size of the June final competition will be larger. That will increase the amount of time that a team like RHIT has after securing a takedown on Virginia Tech. Um, so
I'm not exactly
that'll
sure what the units are in, but the map here shows 8,000 by 12,000. Is this in? I assume I'm
it's
not sure
in
exactly
millimeters. So it's
in
8 meters by
millimeters.
12 meters.
So an eight.
Yeah, so it's 8 meter by 12 meter map.
So yeah,
Um,
this is a pretty large map.
yeah. Do you have the Purdue map size? Yeah, so this is the map size for the final game, but I don't know how big the Purdue arena is. 'Cause I don't believe it's the exact same size.
Yeah, I can.
Anywho, regardless, even if it is the same dimensions, the path from the center to the resupply zone will be longer because the elevation is where currently you can just go over bumpy road and the wall is different. So I think a team like RHIT would have had a longer time span on the full map, allowing them to take advantage of that kill a little bit more. But a great performance from both sides. Virginia Tech looks really, really strong. Um, if their hero is able to hang with, I mean, hilariously, Virginia Tech normally it's the hero that carries their team a little bit, but their sentry is looking super clean. That was the most impressive sentry movement I think I've seen so far. Pursuing the damage and then returning
Mhm.
back to the main central point.
And I got confirmation. So our field is 5 by 8.5 meters. So
Okay, so
this
substantial, almost, yeah.
so this one is going to be this map for Armane is going to be much larger. So I hopefully we're going to see way more player movement and coordination. And hopefully we'll see like more interaction between the robots.
I mean,
Um,
with 2v2, I think that field size fits really well. I'm just pointing out that the RHIT was not able to make a comeback in this match, but I think
yeah.
that with their performance level that they just showed, they may have been able to mount more of a comeback in a full field size.
Mhm.
But again, I mean, in the full field, then they will also have to contend with a third robot from Virginia Tech. So a great match, quite close. Virginia Tech able to take it down. Not willing to give over a lot of victory points, but doing a great job.
So the next match we have is going to be Virginia Tech versus Purdue. So,
Woohoo!
well,
The hometown heroes of Purdue
we're gonna
versus
be
Virginia Tech.
so actually we're gonna be seeing CU versus VT this time. Actually,
Never mind. The
slight change of
Colorado
plans.
champs versus Virginia Tech.
So we're gonna be seeing a CU and VT rematch, where in the I believe yesterday in their round, I believe CU won both rounds, if I'm not mistaken. Let's
I,
see match results.
we'll
Um,
see how this goes. I mean, this is going to be such a close game. Both of those centuries are so good. This will be an excellent time for us to get to see what we were discussing earlier of does one of the teams change their programming for their century? Obviously, I'm not saying write anything new, but just switch pre-made programs to go from an aggressive central buff program to a more defensive or playing with the team style where it pushes up and then fades back and then pushes up
so
and fades back and relies on a human to hold the buff point.
so yeah, I saw VT actually take out their I'm not sure what it is exactly, but it just looks like a mobile debugger, which is very cool to look at. It's very
We
like
got a
it's
we got a field cam, or they got it on there right now? Can we get an S1
it's
over there?
removed now, and I believe the S1 is disconnected, unfortunately.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
however, I believe it might be visible on. Oh, unfortunately, it is not.
That's fine, that's fine. Virginia Tech versus CU. This is gonna be a banger, guys. This is
This
gonna
is
be
going
a
to be a
a really
rematch.
close match.
Yeah. So yeah, I think yesterday CU won both rounds. So hopefully VT learned from what went wrong, and hopefully this time, seeing how they were able to perform in the last match, hopefully this match they're able to maybe clinch you 1v1 or get one win, one loss, or actually win both rounds. Hopefully from what they learned from the previous game.
I wonder what happens if both sentries get really close to each other. Like if they both just go for the central buff point, I wonder if they'll get close enough to each other that they'll just kind of both ignore one another and just become the best of robot friends in the middle of the field.
Yeah, I think at that point we might just see two sentries staying there doing nothing for the entire round while the infantry just kind of battle it out, trying to get victory points from just getting kills.
Depending on people's level of intelligence that they've programmed into these sentries, we might have like a Beyblade situation on our hand and not in the fun UW way. Like there's a world where I see two sentry robots both spinning as fast as they can and then just kind of pushing into one another and just, I mean, could be really entertaining, but could be highly catastrophic on these very expensive bots,
Yeah, we
depending on
could see
what kind
some
of
battle
bumpers
bot.
they've got. Yeah.
We could see just the battle bot rendition this round.
So let's. I mean, I've got the rules pulled up. Let me pull them back up on my end so I can take a peek at them. Shar was chatting with me behind the scenes, and yes, I understand that the sentry can be given a yellow card, but my thought process is the yellow card doesn't like it. It's not super effective against the sentry. I think. I mean, it reduces the health points by 15% of its maximum HP, which is going to do a lot of damage to a sentry. Um, It hurts the rest of your team, and then if you get a second yellow card, you'll lose more health. There it is. If the offending robot is a sentry, the chassis will be powered off for 2 seconds. Um, and then if it's not a sentry, your VTM gets turned off for 2 seconds. That is the key information I was looking for. So normally as a driver, if you get a yellow card, they turn off your video feed so you can't see, and it's very disruptive, right? Obviously you can't do much without seeing. But the sentries don't need a driver, they're self-driving. So what the referee system will do is upon issuance of a yellow card, it will disable the sentry's chassis power, preventing the sentry from being able to move or spin or do anything like that. So teams will need to be careful about letting their robots have completely understrained, just like go for the middle no matter what, right? They're going to need to do a little bit more live object detection and not just dodging of walls, but also make sure that they're not just slamming into other robots, as that's a
Yeah,
behavior that will get them carded.
yeah, I think that like for these kinds of rounds, we're gonna have to see a lot of like adaptation by both teams because I think these are the two most technically advanced robots that we've seen in the current Midwest Conference. So hopefully, from the last matches, they've made the required changes and adjustments.
Give us a little bit of inside information on Purdue here. I mean, schedule wise, we're coming down on the last 2 or 3 matches, and they should have been Purdue matches. Um, But Purdue is swapping out here. Are we going to see Purdue compete this evening? I mean, we should have had VT versus Purdue and then our hit versus Purdue as the last 2 matches of the day.
So unfortunately, right now, due to like issues that we had like yesterday, we kind of don't have the time that we initially expected. So we decided that we're just going to cut the Purdue matches, and so then other teams are able to have the opportunity to play and test out their robots more.
Oh my goodness, they host the competition and then they don't even utilize it. It's just a selfless team, guys. Okay, how could you even shoot their robots? Like you can't launch projectiles at their robots. Look at what nice guys. Nice guy buff engaged. That is super generous of you. Thanks for the inside information. But the Purdue bots are fine, is what you're saying. It's not you're not having a technical issue with the bots. Um, you're just rearranging the schedule so that all the teams that traveled really far to get here have an opportunity to compete. And then y'all will use your cool field kind of as time allows.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, we haven't been having any technical issues with the bots. So
That's good. That's good because I hear people are throwing money at you because of the excellent performance of your hero. So
yeah, thank you. Yeah.
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 So can you help me solidify the schedule then? So we've got Virginia Tech versus CU, and then originally it was going to be RHIT versus Purdue for the last match of the day. Do you know who that final match will be?
Production. Who's playing our hit after this round?
Survey says.
So right now we have CU and VT. After this round, so who's playing in the stead?
Here's some Purdue Ducks as a thank you to Purdue for being so gracious of hosts. Chad, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for sticking around. Hopefully you've been loving the matches today. These have been, frankly, just absolute bangers. Like, even in the games where the points have been a stomp, the strats have been coming out. There's been a variety of execution. Do we have an answer for the last match? RHIT versus
Yes.
who?
So, due to time constraints, I believe this will be the last match for the day.
Okay.
After
Virginia Tech
this,
versus CU, a proper Midwest Conference Finals for the day, for sure.
we can end with a bang with the two big teams. You know, it's in the middle of the country, kind of, and it's in the
Yeah,
West.
Colorado is in the middle of the country. I mean, I'm from Texas. You've got Colorado, you got Texas at the bottom, you got California on one side, you got Florida at the bottom corner on the other side, and then you have all the middle states, and then the top you got like Michigan and Washington and Maine.
You know, if you think about it, the
Everyone
entire
else is
United
Midwest.
States. You know what? Yeah, the entire U.S. is technically the Midwest because they're in the middle of three countries, and then we're
That's
also
true.
in the West. So
That's true.
technically, if you think about it, you know, the entire country is in every state's in the Midwest.
I think the match is starting. I hear a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 happening in my ears,
Yep.
guys.
Okay, so we're seeing. All right, they immediately go for the middle. You actually takes the middle century. Yeah. Okay, the century backs off. Okay, now they're trying to collide. Oh, VT Century is completely gone, I think. Oh, VT Century is completely cut. PU completely stomped. They have almost full health in both the robots, and now they're trying to go around to try to encircle the infantry. But I think they are trying to stay closer to the. Okay, nope, they're going back to home base, but they're just getting hammered
Oh my
completely
goodness, man.
right
Virginia Tech's
now.
got this great movement from their century. Just look at that. It's willing to move to is this really, can someone confirm, is this actually a century? Like oh, some pieces flying off of something.
The VT Century is spinning. And it died in home base. Yeah, Theo is completely stomping VT right now.
Oh my goodness, I think someone shot a camera.
Oh, yeah, it seems like it's some a camera was in fact hit. I'm truly unfortunate.
Oh my word, Virginia Tech putting in the work here. Their century just unflappable, undefeatable.
Oh, well,
CU's gonna give it a try. CU pushing up. They're spinning. What is this movement from Virginia Tech? Are you kidding me? These are the clips. These are the clips that we'll be looking at for the next 2 months. What on earth? Did they hire Elon? Like what's happening? This is insane. The self-driving of that century for Virginia Tech, absolutely incredible. And now the
oh, that
standard getting into
speed.
1v2 using the close-up strat. CU. This is something they're definitely going to have to address after they go home.
It is. Oh, yeah, I think we're looking at a VT stomp this game right now. I think they're trying to put some pressure early, but I think it's just not going to be enough this round. They have the Century back. They have the Century on the field. And it's VT Century kind of holding the line there. But will we be able to be aggressive against? We are seeing now with still around 3 minutes left. CU actually trying to hold the line.
Oh my goodness, the camera's been resurrected. Shout out to Purdue working some voodoo magic.
Thank you, production. Somehow
Here we go,
bringing the
Virginia
camera
Tech.
back to
Virginia
life.
Tech pushing forward. Oh no, they run into the wall.
Oh,
Ooh, they still make it out. I thought with just if you give CU a second, they can put out some serious firepower.
and CU has Century as the robots running into each other a little bit. Sure. They're trying to take, but is that enough? They're aiming to try to get rid of the. Okay, so VT started retreats.
This is a very bloody match. Virginia Tech and CU pushing up, taking out other robots, getting destructions, or at least getting really close. It does not look like the CU Sentry is happy. It's spinning a bit haphazardly now.
They trying to move the CU back into home base. They push it back into home base. Oh my god. And now we're seeing, okay. Oh, and the Sentry's back. The Sentry is back. The Sentry is back and it's going. They're Beyblading against each other. We're seeing, okay, VT Sentry takes back the middle.
The
Oh
score has
my
got to
god.
be close here as we get to the second half of the game. CU has had control of the central buff point for most of the second half. Virginia
Looking at a
Tech
run
pushing
of
back forward.
225. Oh my. Yeah, that's just, this is just, they're just gonna Beyblade against each other. Oh my. It's like running into each other constantly. This is
As
just a big
predicted.
game of Beyblade. And they're just not letting up. Oh my god. They're just pushing each other out.
Well, they've got to
Oh,
get that CU sentry out of the buff point if they want to take the buff point or kill it. Whoever's RFID registered first will get the point. Oh my goodness. Surely that's going to be a yellow card onto the standard of Virginia Tech. Oh no, the battery! That's a battery from Virginia, from CU's
oh
standard on the
no.
floor. They should probably stop the match. Yeah, batteries are not something that you want on the field.
So we're looking at around 30 seconds left. I think the game is
This is
continuing
crazy,
on.
y'all. That's a full-on lipo on the field. It's probably gonna be fine. My goodness, Virginia Tech definitely gonna take the dub here. I
Yeah,
think.
I
What are
think
the what are the points at? CU had a
right now,
solid second half.
the year was gaining traction. They were actually winning for a couple seconds. It was like 128 to 128 something. But now we're looking at 200 to 130. VT wins this game.
Yeah, Virginia Tech. Wow,
Bloody nice. Oh my.
that was an incredible game. Um, I mean,
That was like heart rending. Oh my.
it was everything that we had predicted. Like we saw two aggressive sentries come and Beyblade against each other in the middle. We saw we saw standards darting back and forth, just trying their very best not to die. Right. We saw teams having to pretty much pull yellow cards to just ram the other team out of the central buff point in order to regain the capture point.
And I think one other thing that was actually interesting is the VT Sentry was actually stuck because it didn't end up getting back to base. So they literally had their pilot hit it until it got into home base just to get it to recalibrate and then come back. And we saw like the Sentry is a massive player in these games because as soon as the Sentry came back, we started dominating again.
Yeah, the Virginia
So
Tech Sentry is a beast, an absolute menace. That triple camera setup gives it that edge against other very functional and very capable sentries. Both teams are going to need a second. I saw multiple parts. I mean, obviously there's a battery. Yeah, Steven, that was a battery.
mhm.
Hilariously, I don't know that a lot of teams have picked up on that. But if your batteries are just clipped into the battery harness, you need to do something else. Like
Mm.
that's a thing that comes with experience and time, or it comes from watching the streams. This happens probably once a year. So in 2019, Texas A&M in China had one of our robots turn off because a projectile hit our power button on our battery. Um, and then in a later year, there was another team whose battery fell out of their robot. And then the next year, I know most of Texas A&M's because I was on their teams when this was happening. But Texas A&M went off hit a bump really hard, and the battery
Mm.
was mounted upside down, and so it disconnected the battery
Ouch.
for just a blink because it just the shock just blinked the power, but that disconnects you from the referee system, and then you're not able to rejoin the referee system, so you just keep getting kicked off the internet of the ref system.
Ouch.
So if you are a team and you're watching this, guys, you can't just clip these batteries in. You've got to do something. I know A&M now has covers that are padded on the inside that slide and go in front of the battery, so that not only the battery can't come out, but also you can't hit a battery with a projectile and turn it off on accident. Um, yeah. Anywho, those are big lipos, and it'll help your team perform better. It's also a nice safety thing to make sure your batteries can't get hit by projectiles or fall
Yeah,
out of your robot.
that is actually. I wonder if there are teams who will try to deliberately aim for open battery power.
No, teams will not do that. Don't worry about it. Teams, there are much easier things for teams to do than try and hit the batteries, namely the
Mm.
cameras. Like if a team was trying to play dirty, you could just be launching at people's VTMs. or you were in years past, teams were allowed to use lasers as indicators of where they were firing, and those are things that could be pointed at like real sense cameras and really throw off the self driving of sentries. But frankly, once you're in there and people are launching projectiles at you, trying to line up that shot, I mean, you're talking about hitting a battery that's this big instead of hitting an armor panel that's like this big. And so it's so much easier for teams to compete, and all of these teams really are just good sportsmen. So I don't think any teams are going to be purposefully aiming at the battery covers. Um, but yeah. Anywho, that's my big rant about all the times I've seen giant lipos fall out or get disconnected during RoboMasters. Design something, guys. You got 2 months. Just 3D print something really easy to make sure that the batteries don't come out. You got to make it kind of clever so that they're still pretty swappable. Um, yeah, y'all will get to it. Everybody will make sure that it works well.
Yeah.
All right, VT versus CU. I need your prediction. You weren't in the Twitch chat, I think, so I didn't get to see what you thought was going to happen. But you've now seen round one. Round two could definitely go either direction. Who do you think is going to take it and why?
think I think VT definitely. Like after what we've seen today with this match, I think VT is just going to be an absolute beast. Both in just their sentry, with how like powerful it is, with how the pilots are able to maneuver very well, the on-the-fly thinking. I think just in general, I think VT has like way more advantages than any disadvantages that they may encounter or have, especially compared to some other teams.
Okay, I hear you. I hear you. I think that's a pretty solid reason why going for the VT
Mhm.
2-0. Um, I think I agree with you. I think Virginia Tech wins. Their century is frankly blowing my mind. Like for years past, okay,
Scares
let's look
me.
at 2024, 2023, 2022. The most impressive centuries in the game were pretty much CU and UW. And those centuries, they were so impressive because they would drive from the base to the center point. Last year, for the first time, we saw a century drive to the center, compete, and then when it got low on health, retreat. And that was super impressive. What on earth have they done? How have they done it? Virginia Tech Century is acting like a really good human. It's pushing when it needs to push. It retreats very quickly to keep the central buff point. It is pursuing enemies, but not like it's not just chasing, right? Like, can we get that? Can we get that code? And can I play League of Legends with that instead of the silver two people that I play with?
So
Like,
true. So true.
don't freaking chase enemy champions into the jungle. Just play your lane, chase when they come in, and then back off. And somehow they've coded that into a robot. When there's an enemy champ that pops up, it engages, it'll chase a little bit, right? It'll do that extra damage, but then it returns to the objective.
I will
I,
say, I saw them part of their debugging. I saw the terminal run for a solid 30 seconds during debugging. So they have a lot written down. I think they made a lot of
sick.
improvements to their
Yeah.
Sentry,
Wow.
100%. Yeah, maybe I should
Shout
ask
out to
them.
VT. You know what? So next weekend, we'll be doing a debate night with the commentators, kind of hashing out all of the controversial and the interesting questions of RMNA 2025. And one of the first things that popped into my head when I was writing those questions was I was like, man, VT might be washed this year. They've been a team that centered their strategy around game elements that are gone. This felt like a nerf to Virginia Tech just because of the game, right? Like it happens. Um, but as chat's saying, Virginia Tech looks terrifying. Like this could be their year for the first time in 5 years. DJI has a wonderful RoboMasters video about it where they call Virginia Tech the strongest team in North America. It hasn't been true in half a decade, but it
Yeah,
looks true today.
we might see a VT, well, maybe not a VT sweep, but we're going to see a very strong performance from VT, I think, in RMNA. Even if they were to do that now, without any kind of improvements, they would still be such a powerful competitor. It's
Yeah.
something to look out for and like be worried about and definitely like prep against
I
if you
mean,
are going to have to compete against them.
they're doing so good. Like this is
Yeah.
do I need to spend the rest of my week cooking up a VT comeback video edit? Like it's just ridiculous. They've been so close for for so many years. Yeah, I mean, it's not like they were washed, right? They got second year 1, they didn't do great year 2, they've been in the top 4, like, every year. I think last year they were top 2 or 3 again. Um, yeah, number 2, it's not like they've been out of the competition or even out of the top 3, but it's been a minute since we've seen them have a strategy other than, "Oh, look, they're losing. Wait, their hero just melted the entire base in 10 seconds. They win the game." Right? Or, "Oh, look, they're losing. Wait, they're making full court shots. My man's yelling Kobe from the driver's station and just sniping them from the 3 point." Right? Like, that's been Virginia Tech. And now that that's gone, I didn't think it would be an improvement for them. And maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. There's still 33% of the team that we haven't witnessed,
Hmm.
but this first 67% looks clean.
Yeah, I think this is definitely like a very big testament to how talented I guess the engineers at BT are, considering that even without their previous advantages, they were able to basically cook up a Sentry that was just absolutely dominating this entire conference.
Yeah. Guys, if you are watching today and the rest of your team isn't watching, make sure they go and check out the VOD. There's been so much helpful stuff. I mean, I know
Hmm.
the commentators are just I know us on the media side are just biting at the bit to now we have so much to talk about. So many of these teams absolutely incredible. Char in the chat saying VT has always been known for its hero. Yes. An unchanged
Hmm.
monster of a bot since 2022. Yeah, is the only robot not present here, and they still look really good. Yeah, I mean, it does speak volumes to what we can expect for Virginia Tech.
Hmm.
And I, for the last couple of years, I've attributed Virginia Tech's focus on their hero to RMUC. Virginia Tech has been a China competitive team, and for the Chinese competition the last couple of years, sniper heroes has been the meta. Full court shots, using scopes to zoom in, just launching full court lobs at the outpost and then at the base. Last year grand finals, we watched teams not even move past the half court mark and win just using the dart and the hero. Um, and so I've seen VT as a team that kind of adopted that Chinese strategy and brought it here to the West. Um, but now Virginia Tech is showing a whole nother side, demonstrating just phenomenal innovation with their Sentry in particular, incredible software, incredible hardware, utilizing the reliability we've known them for. But I see CU spinning up. I think we might be ready.
I believe as soon as they connect the Blue Sentry, so VT Sentry is currently disconnected. If so, right now they're
Oh
focusing to
man,
try to reconnect it, and hopefully as soon as they do that, we can just get started. If
we may
not, we
have
might have to
cast or
see.
cursed the ever living daylights out of them. We'll see if the Sentry
Yeah, this is the
can
commentator's
stay.
curse. It's the commentator's curse.
Off. It's on. You
Hmm.
can see it, chat. What we're talking about is the bottom of the two robots in the top left hand corner of your screen. So that blue robot that's closest to me is the Sentry for Virginia Tech,
Hmm.
and you can look at its armor panel lights to kind of get a sense of what's happening. You can see now they're off and turning back on. The robot's restarting, reinitializing, has to be reconnected to the server, given an identity. There's a lot going on the back end of each of these robots so that they can compete in this game together. There's a little bit of a
Hmm.
look into what the duration is in between each of these rounds.
I think we're getting okay. Match has started now. Both sentries seem to be doing nothing so far. CU sentry is just firing wildly. Nothing.
Yeah, that CU Sentry didn't look happy at the end of the last game. I've watched a lot of CU Sentry games in the last couple of years, and it wasn't spinning like it normally does. Like the head was spinning very odd. Wasn't scanning properly.
All right, match has started. We see both sentries gunning for the middle. And VP immediately takes it. And now we can start base loading. Okay, VP backs off a little. So CU gets the advantage here. So I think we're going to see. All right, VP takes it again, and now they're trying to fire back. And
Virginia Tech utilizing that bumpy road. I mean, they've done a great job. They definitely get to the center first.
the CU sentry immediately got melted. Now it seems VP just apply constant pressure right now. We have the wide swing being covered by the infantry, and the
Oh my
sentry just
goodness,
in
Virginia
the
Tech is
middle.
immune to the close strat. Did you see that? The standard
That's
for Colorado
crazy
pushed
good.
up very close to the VT Sentry, but the Sentry
It's
backed up.
kidding. I think they're doing like live debugging and changing because I did not see this kind of stuff in the last game.
The sentry for Virginia Tech using its triple cameras to not have to scan it. It moves again. We've got a 2v2 in the middle of the field. Both teams fighting violently. Virginia Tech pushing. The sentry kind of
Oh
body
my,
blocking his own
oh,
teammate there, but able to use the bumpy road. CU
yeah,
going deep. CU is deep.
you,
Virginia Tech, can they punish the over push?
they almost took out the infantry for CU, but CU just in time made it back.
A bit of an overchase from Colorado there in that last engagement. Virginia Tech doing a good job of punishing, but not able to get the kills.
All right, we're looking at a closer game this time. We have 16-21 in VT's VT's favor, but CU is currently trying to push harder. Hopefully, they're able to keep this momentum because if they're not able to, if they lose momentum, VT can just punish them very much for it.
Yeah, CU looking really good, but Virginia Tech sentry not leaving the base. Not really sure what's up with that.
All right, they're currently Beyblading against each other.
Virginia Tech doing a great job with their piloted robots, but again, their sentry, after retreating back to the base, not moving. I mean, it's spinning, but no longer playing that aggressive position that it really needs to. Virginia Tech may have gained enough levels, though, early in the game that they can compete with just their standard.
They're just removing their sentry ammo to put inside of their infantry at this point. Their sentry just being super passive. Okay, you got a bump there. Okay, we're seeing some aggressive plays by VT here between the two sentry, right, between the two infantries. It seems like the sentry is just doing nothing right now. It just seems like a game between the infantry. The game is probably around 80 or 60 in VT's favor, so they still have a chance to maintain this lead and kind of just hold on to wherever they have. But if he was able to punch them enough, they could regain the lead and it's like use the momentum just win the game outright. There's still 2 minutes left, so watch the change here.
It's definitely the closest 1v2 I think we've seen. Virginia Tech holding on with one robot. They luckily had their sentry for the most sentry critical part of the game, which is that early first minute. Whoa!
Oh my god, oh my, VT is just absolutely destroying right now.
Standard for Virginia Tech. Got the team on its back. The combat is, I mean, it's a small field. We've talked about it. The combat is rough out there. There's quite a bit of nudging, quite a bit of bumping. These robots are not
Yeah,
light, chat. These are 40, 50-pound robots smacking into each other while spinning.
yeah, I think VT is actually being very pressured. Right now, CU is winning. They're up by 20 points, probably 84 to 100.
20
But they're
points is
pushing
still a
them up.
pretty small margin. A couple kills going the way of VT, and this could flip the game all the way over.
All right, the sentry
Whoop.
is back. Oh my, that's speed.
Oh
Speed
my goodness.
is Beyblading so fast that I think it's gonna fly. Oh my god.
One has to imagine. Oh my goodness. Yeah, there it goes. One has to imagine that VT is going to be able to take back the central buff point, though, now that their
Yeah.
sentry's back online. Virginia Tech, CU, 2v2. Once again, the match that we thought would happen.
All right, we're looking at the sentry trying to run into the infantry there, but sentry's just not able to take it.
Infantry for Colorado is so low on health, but is able to make it back to the base. That may have been a mistake from Virginia Tech not to chase that one down.
Because it's currently 100 and it's around 100 to 130. So just one kill could easily tip the scales right now. We're looking at the sentries. The sentries just losing health right now, but they just cannot aim.
From the top-down view that we have of that VT sentry, it kind of looks to me like it's out of projectiles. Can you tell in the match, is the VT sentry still launching projectiles?
They're out completely of projectiles. They have no projectiles on them. And we're looking at, oh my god, the match is literally a couple points. Okay, wait. VT's up by 2 points, 3 points, 4 points, 2 seconds left. I think this is bare VT wins this game by 4 points.
Oh my goodness. Virginia Tech.
Oh my god.
That was crazy. That wasn't clean. That was
insane. And the battery fell out again for CU Sentry.
Oh my gosh.
I think
Okay.
if you look at this camera, you can see the battery right next to the
Yeah,
vertical.
I see it. I see it. I got some folks at Colorado that I need to fuss at. The old standard team lead from Texas A&M is now at Colorado, and he was there with all of our battery issues. I got some people to yell at after this. I can't believe that battery's on the floor. We got some SCO buffs in the chat. No, they did great. That was super close. Down to 4 points, you said.
That was
absolutely incredible by both teams. Virginia Tech, Colorado. a nail biter, an excellent final match of the day. Chad, if you missed all of our other matches, please go check them out. Friendly reminder to
Oh,
subscribe and follow
what
all
do
the
these
things.
numbers mean here and here? That's wait, that's their points. That's damage. Yeah, that's damage. That means damage take. No, it's damage given.
Can you
It's damage
screenshot
taken.
it? Can you send us a screenshot? We want to look at the stats from the
Here,
game.
we can try to move. Here. Damage.
If you just DM Shar a screenshot of that
It's
in the
not.
next like 30 seconds, we'll throw it up on the screen. If not, it's okay. Chat got what they were looking for. That was a banger of a match. Both sentries
The laptop
performing
around maybe if I
well
can.
for most of the
Here.
match.
This
I
is on a separate laptop, so
expect.
we're gonna have to move some stuff around here. So
Oh, we got to
okay,
look at a screen with a camera because this is
so
going to be horrendous,
this
but
is gonna
awesome at the
be
same time.
this is very scuffed, but we have the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just grab the camera then. Can you go grab a camera?
Can you just mute yourself while you're working on that, and I'll
Yeah.
chat with Chad about the thing.
So right now,
You know what? I think I can take care of that. Anywho, both the sentries worked fairly well. The sentry for Virginia Tech obviously stopped working about halfway through, right? But I believe that I believe that one, the Virginia Tech sentry worked for the most critical part, right? We've talked about the fact that the sentries have a huge level 1 advantage. That's the point where it's really important for them to be there and be participating. And then two, I don't think that the sentry had any issues. I think what happened was the sentry, it looked like it moved back to the resupply zone, but it didn't make it all the way in the zone. And so it probably found a gap in the code, if I had to guess, where it retreated to the resupply zone, but then the RFID did not register as being in the resupply zone. And so it never met the condition where it leaves the resupply zone, whether that's regaining health or purchasing projectiles. I don't know, whatever they have. Because I did see the standard for VT starting to nudge their sentry, trying to get it more in the zone. And that's been something popular we've seen, right? With Colorado as well. We've seen that robot retreat to the edge of the resupply zone, but not make it all the way in. And so that RFID doesn't register, doesn't go off. There might be I mean, this should be an easy and small adjustment. I believe that a lot of teams will make where they get a little bit closer to the wall, get a bit more in the corner. You'd rather rub the wall a bit than not make it into the resupply zone, in my opinion.
all right, so we have this camera here. It's a little bit scuffed, but the second number you see over here is the damage dealt. You can see clearly that VT has dealt around 3,000 damage, whereas a CU only dealt around 1,200. So the damage difference here is crazy.
Yeah, that is a bit scuffed. Yeah. The damage difference is big. But the points was close.
Everything's possible with this screen and this camera.
Yeah. Yep. It was a close one.
So this was a very close match. I think CU actually had a solid point advantage for a little bit of the game, for I think around a minute or two. Because they were at like 130 to 100 almost. But I think VT was somehow able to clutch that and just barely made it through and won the end of the round.
Can you confirm during that match you were saying it looked and I visually identified that I think the sentry for Virginia Tech ran out of projectiles. At the end of that match, was Virginia Tech launching any projectiles from either robot?
I didn't. I think so. I'm not actually too sure. I didn't see any projectiles fired actually in any of them. And for the last like couple seconds, they're just Beyblading constantly.
So I think that's a really interesting piece of strategy that we haven't talked about at all yet. I think we're good with the graph. We can go off of that shaky cam. It was good though. I think the graph does do an excellent job of illustrating that was a very close game.
Also, production is sending a picture of the graph, so we can also post that.
Perfect. Thank you.
And make that visible for everybody, so everyone can see the numbers themselves.
So I think one unique part of the match that we saw with Virginia Tech versus CU we haven't seen today, at least, was that at the end of the game, when the points are really, really close, you might just stick it out with no projectiles because going back to get projectiles, you will lose victory points. So if you think you can survive and earn or just earn more victory points than 20, right? If you can make it a net positive for your team, I think we might see that more common in the 3v3 matches to come in June. We might see teams with no projectiles just spinning as fast as they can, kind of juking around a little bit, trying to stay agile in the center.
Yeah, I think, well, yeah, most likely we'll see like these kind of trade-offs are going to be like the calculus has to be done very quickly by the pilots to figure out whether or not they actually want to take like a riskier option or not. I think in this case, it definitely was riskier in the last like 30 seconds or so to think, we're just going to stick it out and hope for the best. That like ideally with our two robots, we can maybe try to push the other infantry essentially like out of the field so we can try to take middle. And it served them pretty well. They did manage to win by 5 points. So something like a learning lesson.
Yeah. Great matches, great rounds. Shout out to Purdue. Thank you again. Thanks to all the volunteers and all the teams that are willing to drive down in April. I understand everyone's going through school still. I mean, it's still the semester. Everyone's dealing with midterms and stuff, and it's a
Yeah.
difficult time. But everyone made it work, and I really appreciate that. I think this was super helpful for those teams, and hopefully helpful for the other teams that watched. Guys, thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. Make sure you've hit subscribe on all the things and follow on all the things. Turn on notifications. We'll be doing some podcasts each weekend. We'll be doing some live streams and post produce streams of the RMUC content in May. And then, of course, the last week of June, we'll be doing RMNA finals in California at UCSD, which will be just, I mean, but at another 33% of awesome. So, really, really excited for that. Talk us through what the rest of the day looks like for the participants. And then are y'all going to be live streaming any of that? I know there's not going to be commentary for the rest of that. We'll be signing off here pretty soon, but are y'all publishing the conference, or is that a perk of attending in person?
Um, so we will be recording the presentations about the teams and the sponsored presentations, so those will be made available. Um, However, I still would like to say that the in-person experience is going to be much better. So
Yeah,
for anybody watching, always try to attend these kind of events in person because the experience you get is just going to be so much more valuable than just
10 out
watching
of
it
10.
online.
Gosh, OGs, yeah, the competition is done. This wasn't like a bracket kind of style. This was the Midwest Conference is what it's called, right? It's a conference. It's an opportunity for the teams to scrim against each other, and gain a lot of insight and practice, and also learn from each other in the technical conference that we were just discussing. If we have to crown a winner, I think we're going with Virginia Tech.
Yeah,
But
VT definitely just blew everybody away, I think, this time.
here, let me give them the. All right, there was your absolute crush for Virginia Tech, the bestowal of the crown. Shar committing to do a little bit of stats for us.
I think we have a match results chart here. But we'll try to get this updated and we'll see if we can publish this. Because we were keeping
Gosh,
track of points
OGs,
yesterday.
CU did pretty well. They won most of their matches. The robots are looking pretty good. They they launched their battery a couple times, but they're gonna fix that. They're gonna fix that real quick. Don't worry. Other than that, CU looked great. Please go back and check out the VOD. So you can look at it on YouTube. As soon as we end the stream on Twitch, you'll be able to look at past broadcasts and you'll be able to watch the VOD there as well. But you can scroll back and kind of scrub through, watch all of the CU games whenever it fits your schedule.
Yeah, after this snapshot, I think we're all very excited for the RMNA in June because now all the teams have 2.5 months to redesign, revise, and improve their design, the robots. And hopefully we're going to see something even better come June.
All righty. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us and hanging out. Make sure you catch the RoboMaster North America and RoboMaster NA next weekend for a bit of a debate night between the commentators and the analyst staff. Thanks again to Purdue, and stick around if you want to watch the. You said they're recording the technical conference, correct?
I believe so, yes. We are planning to record the technical conferences.
All right.
So
Well,
those
then
hopefully will be available on our YouTube.
sick. Go check out the Purdue YouTube to watch that technical conference at some point in the future. All right. Thank you,
And
guys.
yeah.
Hello, everybody. We are back real quick. I know we just said we're leaving, but we decided actually that we have some stuff to talk about real quick before we leave officially. And I was like, we might as well get this in for a recording, get this in for a stream as well. Preston was like, let's just jump in, call. Let's just jump in and let's
Yeah,
just do this.
because I knew after those last match we were just gonna sit in a voice chat and talk about it anyway.
It's exciting stuff.
That was wild. So let's start with the obvious. Virginia Tech Century.
As I said in chat, because okay, so this was like one of the worst matches for me to ever watch in my life because the entire I could not commentate, but everyone could hear me. I was just sitting there just like going off about like that is insane that the Century is working like this. That's so well made. I'm so impressed the whole time, and I'm just sitting here now and I'm like, what? What a Century! What a Century! How does it work? How does it do that? How does it know? How does it know, Preston?
I don't know. I have no idea.
It knows. I think also like the 3 camera thing. When I first saw that, I was like, that seems like a bad idea. What if like it's usually unstable? Clearly works for
Expensive,
them,
like someone's gonna hit your cameras with the projectiles. Yeah.
but clearly works for them too. Like that 360. Like I texted Steven in the middle of that match. I was like, they have the Byakugan. They can see
Phenomenal.
360 degrees around them.
Phenomenal.
There is no
Yeah.
weaknesses here.
Yeah. So we'll start with the cameras. So it gives them their peak proof, basically. Like you can't peek them. They might have to pivot, right? If you've got a wall, you can peek from the left side of the wall or the right side of the wall. And if you peek on the left side and then you go peek on the right side, you will have like a split second when their turret has to go whoop, but that's it. Normally, when you peek a sentry, you have up to like a full second where that robot has to get it's panning, and it might pan quickly, but it's just panning, and it has to look back at where you are now. You're gonna get 5, 6, 7 projectiles in before it finds you. So that's a huge advantage. The other advantage is Virginia Tech, excuse me, has the capability of driving with the projectile launcher facing forward the whole time if they want, or backwards the whole time. But like they can be engaging or very defensive in any position that they want.
Yeah.
The cameras are genius.
The cameras are genius. The code is genius. Again, like the CU, and this was mentioned by Ishan as well on the stream, which loved Ishan, love the Purdue people. He mentioned this as well. He was like, they are actively backing away from robots near them in order to be able to still have line of sight on their armor panels to then fire at them. And I'm like, I never even consider that like that's like something you could like do properly, right? Without giving up the objective too. They will fully still be in the objective as well and be capturing the central buff point, which is insane.
Yeah, so I called that out during that last match.
Mm-hmm,
and now that I'm thinking about it, it's even when I called it out, I said, wow, that's really cool. Like they've identified this threat that is definitely there and they've neutralized it, which is cool. But from a technical perspective, my brain is kind of broken on what they're doing to make that work, because
it looked like a human driving it. Like,
yes, because typically the reason that works against the Sentry is what the Sentry is looking for is not robots, it's looking for armor panels.
Yes.
And because for lots of reasons, but you're looking for armor panels, and you need to make sure it's the enemy team's armor panel, right? You need to make sure it's actually an armor panel, and that will dictate where you aim and fire projectiles. So the reason that getting really close works is because typically you lose sight of the armor panel. And so it's not just that physically they can't shoot at you because you're too close. That works for human drivers, but with the computer, sometimes you can actually get it to unlock its view of you.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, they probably have preemptive code. Probably if an armor panel that they've already identified gets too close, they back up before they lose sight of it. Like, I think it's got to be a preemptive.
It has to be, right? Or I mean,
or maybe it remembers where their one used to be, and the first thing it does when a robot disappears from view, because they also, a lot of teams are also judging not only position of armor panels but velocity of armor panels.
Yeah, I was going to say they might be getting the translational velocity here, like some sort of particle filtering system could definitely work here.
So I know I've talked with teams in the past that do that. Let's call it translationally, right? Like in the X plane. That way, if a robot is driving, it can estimate its velocity and then fire ahead of where the robot is. They're trying to hit the armor panel. Same thing with like spinning.
Yeah, yeah,
So you're right. They could totally have it where the depth camera data that they're getting, if the robot's moving towards them, they might be able to use that to judge when they should move backward.
yeah. Oh
That's
man.
incredible code performance by Virginia Tech that they're able to navigate that balance.
We didn't even see their hero this entire competition. I am like terrified. I'm terrified of what they're gonna bring. I said this in chat as well. Not to keep going back to chat, but I'm like their hero has been the best hero in RMNA for essentially the last 3 years, and it's been uncontestedly the best. It was the best at going up to the base, destroying it, leaving. It rarely jammed. It jammed once, I think, ever I've seen. Right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't even important to their strategy here, and they were winning, and like soundly too, against CU, who, even just given the Friday podcast we had, right? Many people are like, that's my favorite to beat UW is CU. Here comes VT out of nowhere with a crazy sentry strategy that like also works in tandem with the standard. Like there was that one part where the sentry came in from the bottom rollout and the standard came from the top, and they both converged here to take out CU's sentry. And I was like,
Yes.
how is it working together like this? Like this is like coordination of like drivers.
Yeah, so I think we did get a bit of an answer to that. For in the second half of the map, the sentry did accidentally body block its standard buddy a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think probably right that initial out of base, Virginia Tech has obviously communicated well with their pilots so that the pilot knows what the sentry is going to do, and so it can take a coordinated action. I think definitely the coordination is going human to robot, not the other way around.
Yeah.
And then
let's talk. That driver is great for that.
Oh yeah, they did fantastic. The timing was perfect. They both got to their position at almost the exact same moment. You're right. It was a 2v1 against another team that can also go really quick. I think probably the supercapacitors on the standard are helpful when you're trying to keep up with a sentry that has a higher power cap, right? Because level 1 standard is not a particularly speedy bot.
Not at all.
So I think that's a really big part of it. While we're talking about kind of the coordination and game sense of the sentry, the chasing was, I think, what was most impressive to me. We saw it especially with VT versus CU, because CU is known for having just a really good sentry. They were one of the first teams to get mobile sentries and like participating sentries and not just defensive. But when CU's sentry went on the aggressive, it chased all the way into the base of the enemy. Like it got all the way behind that last set of walls. It over chased. And so VT was able to capitalize on that a little bit. But Virginia Tech somehow has taught its robot to chase a little bit. It chases pretty much one robot length away from the center buff point. In seems like all directions. So it could go toward the base, it could go to the side. It would step out of the central buff point for a short amount of time, fight, and then return. And even if I didn't have to write the code, I'm just trying to think of the logic. Like I'm trying to figure out the logic, because that's such a complicated logic from a human. I'm trying to figure out the logic that you use to tell a computer to do that.
I genuinely can't figure it out. Like in my head, I'm like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like,
because like you need to chase. It's almost the opposite of backing up, right? Which sounds like a really stupid statement, but you need to chase the robot before the robot gets away from you. Again, because once you lose sight of the armor panel, you're probably out of sight, out of mind for the sentry. And so you need to move before the robot gets far away from you, but you don't want to just maybe it's trying to keep, maybe once it identifies an enemy robot,
it keeps at a
certain and it's in a certain state, like they're doing state-based programming, right? And like once it's in the state of I'm at the center buff point, maybe it's trying to keep a certain target distance between itself and one of the other robots.
That would work for both ways.
It would work for both ways, and then maybe they have a time. So if you've been out of the central buff point for more than like 1 second or 1.5 seconds, then you ditch. Who cares about the distance between the other robot? You return. That could get behavior that's pretty close to what Virginia Tech is doing, I think.
I think that's probably like pretty close to hitting the nail on the coffin for sure, just technically. But I mean, the really impressive part is that not only is it doing that, that the standard driver is playing around it so well as well. Like it's like my point being like it's not like oh like emergent like unknown behavior. This is clearly something they've practiced with, they're aware of, and they're like
Yeah.
they've like almost perfected it at this point. I'm like, and it's only April. They have 2 whole months.
About 2.5 months.
2.5 months. Both robots are clearly working well. We're able to sustain like a pretty like tight and like punchy match. Like they're like
Yeah.
in each other's like
And
way. I am scared for what they're
to your
gonna do at
previous
Cup
point,
Purdue.
they have 2.5 months,
Mhm.
and the only robot that was because when we look at teams, right? Like let's say take a look at RHIT, who looked
Mhm.
good.
Yeah.
Like especially from the age and UWM, from the age of those teams and kind of where they were last year, they look really good.
You look great.
But those are also the teams that are competing with like 1.5 robots. And so
Mhm.
in my brain, I'm like, okay, they've got 2.5 months. They probably have to build that third robot still, right?
Yeah.
To your point exactly, we know that ain't the case for Virginia Tech.
We,
No one
even
is
if they
saying,
brought
oh,
the
but VT
exact
has to
same
build a
hero,
hero. Yeah.
it would be fine. That 2022 hero would be totally fine. It's not going to be the best probably because it's made for like objective breaking, not necessarily for like team deathmatch, but
Yep.
it will work. It will do exactly what it needs to do. I'm
Yeah.
horrified. They have 2.5 months to just get this century even scarier, essentially, and really refine all of their tactics with it. Like, this is truly going to be a very interesting
VT,
year.
if someone is listening, save a copy, please, of your code right
Yes.
now. Just like this
Yes.
works. This is
This
good
works so well.
Save a branch. Don't you dare mess this up
Yes.
before calm.
Do not mess this up, man.
And then last thing we'll say before we go, because Purdue will be live streaming the technical conference, which would be great for all the teams to go to. We want to make sure that we're off air. That way y'all can go over there and watch that. It'll be on the Purdue RoboMasters YouTube channel. Last thing I want to say, and then any last thoughts that you have, is from CU, they looked good.
Mhm.
Their low clearance is something they seem quite married to. They're
Yeah.
bouncing off projectiles. It gives me concerns about the ramp, about the bumpy road. This map this year, in my mind, is less low clearance friendly than maps have been in the past. So I mean, I'm sure that someone's done the math there. I'm sure it's a group of very smart people. I'm sure they've built a ramp and make sure their robots can go up it. But it's got me a little nervous seeing these things jump, hitting 17 millimeter projectiles. I mean, maybe their suspension is just stiffer than everyone else's.
Maybe, yeah.
And
I'm
that's why
interested
we're
to see
seeing.
how that ends up going. I agree with that. I think that's a good one to keep up. But yeah, my last thoughts as well, Preston, is like the teams at the Midwest this year already look so much better than I expected, and it's
Gosh,
only April. Like, for example, like I like how much changed as well. Like Purdue's no longer doing balancing; they're building a hero for the first time. They had a hero that didn't jam. You owed a
yep.
sub for it. VT, as we just saw, that Sentry is crazy, and we know they have a hero as well, just waiting to be let out into the ring. CU looking really solid as well. One match dropped to VT, and it wasn't like it was an easy match by any means for either team. They were close to each other, and
Yeah.
VT just took it there.
Well, and
Like,
if you give CU their battery back in both of those, they lost by 4
yeah,
points.
they
Like,
lost by 4 points in that last one.
yeah,
Like, I think that, man, you know what's crazy to me? This is occurring to me right now. There is an absolute chance of a world where you are in a VT, RHIT, CU group. What do you do against that?
I mean, it could be worse. You can be in a VT, UW, CU, RHIT group. Oh
That
no,
would be
RHIT is placed this year.
Yeah, RHIT's place. So
Yeah.
you can, and UW and VT can't be in the same group because they're in both the top 4.
Oh,
So
true.
one of the
All right,
worst
but
groups by far.
there's still some scary
There's some
combos.
really
But,
horrible combos, but right now the
and
one that I'm most worried about is a VT RHIT CU group because two
that's a
of
nasty
those
group.
sentries are horrifying.
Yeah, if you're the fourth team in
Horrifying.
there, my condolences.
My condolences.
The last my actual last thing, you were talking about groups there, and I'm thinking, wow, this looks really good for this year. This is still only like half the teams that are seeded. We're not even seeing, like, it's not like this is all the
We
best
haven't
teams that the region has to offer. It's
Haven't
like
even
half.
seen UW, the 4-time reigning champion.
Yep.
No clue what Tamu's up to right now. Maybe
No
we'll
clue.
see them soon. Yeah, we've got some scary people that haven't even shown up yet.
Yeah.
And you know what, Preston? We'll go into this more, I'm sure, this weekend. So please tune into that podcast as well. But we have a lot of thoughts to talk about going forward. Thanks everyone so much for watching. We're gonna call it here. Go check out the Purdue live stream on their YouTube as well, so you can watch the technical conference. Thanks so much for joining us for this little bit of a post show, and we will catch you guys later. Bye.
Bye.